these fans have a high temperature. Heat is the appropriate name. Playoff fever has come to Miami. The Miami Heat, the number 8 seed in the Eastern Conference, with an opportunity to make history tonight. It would be the first time a number 8 seed has ever unseated the number 1 team in the first round of the playoffs in the history of the NBA. And these fans and this Miami team believes they can do it. However, the forward for the Atlanta Hawks, Kevin Willis, cautioned Miami about celebrating too early.
Well, I experienced that a few years back against Boston. We had Boston down 2 games, and they came back and beat us. And we were just celebrating like it was over, and it wasn't over. And it's the same thing with Miami now. They're celebrating this a little bit too prematurely for me. And tonight, we'll win this one, take it back to Atlanta, and end it.
Well, for that to happen, Kevin Willis has to score a field goal. He was 0 for 8 in Game 3. Mookie Blaylock, the other big man for Atlanta, was 3 for 15. They struggled.
Well, you know, the lack of production from the Hawks from the outside has made it easy for the Miami defense to double up on Kevin Willis and really to take him out of the ball game. It's going to have to be a classic example of the outside offense creating opportunities for Kevin Willis down low. Now watch the double team by the Miami Heat. It starts with John Sally, but look at Cycli coming over from the weak side. It forces a turnover. They had so much success. As a matter of fact, they're going to leave the starting lineup as it was. Grant Long is back, but he will not be back in the starting lineup.
Well, Cycli and Sally were awesome. They combined for 24 points and 28 rebounds in that ball game and played some good defense, but they weren't the whole story.
Well, they really were not. The numbers here are excellent, and Cycli said he gets better with more time, but this is a guy that's really been productive for the Heat on the offensive end of the floor. He, for 3 straight games now, has gotten career highs, playoff numbers on offense. He is the guy they must deal with tonight.
The Atlanta Hawks, 57 regular season wins, the Eastern Conference champions. Their backs against the wall. This crowd will be the 6th man tonight for Miami. And now let's have a look at the Chrysler Plymouth starting lineups for tonight's ball game. As Goose told you in our open, Sally and Cycli are starting. The regular starter, Grant Long, who'd been suspended for 1 game and missed number 3, will be coming off the bench tonight.
And once again, it's going to have to start from the guard positions for the Hawks. We've talked a lot about Blaylock and the fact that he hasn't put the numbers up. Altman also is down, getting just 10 points per game, so he's down about 5 points a game from the regular season.
Lenny Wilkens, the head coach of the Atlanta Hawks, you see that his career playoff record is actually 1 game under 500, despite winning the World Championship in Seattle in 1979. Kevin Lockery 6-19 in the playoffs, but he's 2-1 this year. Under fire for his job going into the playoff series. And some of these faces you're looking at may just save Kevin Lockery's job if they can make history tonight and become the first number 8 seed to advance past the number 1 seed. Danny Manning, once again, will have a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He came to Atlanta February 24th in a trade for the franchise, Dominique Wilkins. Hugh Evans, veteran, experienced official, joined by 2 other veterans, Paul Mahalik and Ronnie Nunn, for tonight's game. Remember, in Game 2, there was the bench-clearing brawl on Saturday night in Atlanta. Game 3 here in Miami went by without any major physical confrontations. Atlanta with the opening tip. Inside to Willis. Koncak. Blaylock. Shot clock to 7. 5. Turnover, Atlanta.
Well, this is the kind of defensive effort we saw from the Miami Heat in Game 3 just a couple nights ago. And you saw Mookie Blaylock square up behind the 3-point line, thought better of the shot. I think that is an excellent idea because I think he needs something going to the basket, something high percentage-wise to make sure he gets off to a good start here offensively.
Atlanta has lived on defense, and Danny Manning commits the steal and now takes the jumper. Lost out of bounds. It'll belong to Miami.
You know, Kevin Willis, in talking about Game 3, he said he was not himself, and part of the reason was that he was afraid of how the officials were going to call the game after that brawl in Game 3. He felt they called it tight, but he said, that's not going to get in my way tonight. I'm going to be the Kevin Willis that I've been all season.
Kevin Willis, 0 for 8, did not score 1 single field goal. Ronnie Cycli, he had 12 points and 20 rebounds. Brian Shaw, who struggled throughout the playoffs, misses again from the perimeter. Here comes Augmon as the Hawk run. Blaylock in the corner from Augmon. 3-0 Atlanta.
Better shot that time by Mookie. You saw that he squared up. He took his time and he shot that one with more confidence than he had in all of Game 3, although he did nail those 3 jumpers from behind the three-point line to get his team back to within 1.
Cycli trying to spin into the rain, but he draws the double team from Blaylock. 10 to shoot. Glenn Rice on the drive, fouled from behind by Danny Manning. Here's what's happened in this series. In game number 1, Miami shocked Atlanta and everybody else when they stood up with defense and held the Hawks without a field goal the last 7:09 and won 93-88. In game 2, the brawl in Atlanta. Atlanta scored 104 points in that game and came away with the victory. John Sally drives the lane. There's another rebound for Cycli. He had 20 on Tuesday night.
Well, he said that he is so much more effective when he's in the starting lineup. And in reading the paper yesterday, Steve Smith came out and said the same thing, that he likes having Cycli in there.
Atlanta misses 3 shot opportunities underneath the rim. Manning, Koncak, and Willis all missed. Willis, the Atlanta Hawks leading rebounder at 14.3 a game in the playoffs, kept that one alive. Atlanta ball, and here is Cycli on the offensive boards.
Well, what's happening here is the drives coming to the basket, forces Koncak to come over and to help out to try to cut him off. And he got to the offensive boards as he did on numerous occasions. There's Willis with the best look he's had maybe in the last 3 ball games, and just missed that one, tried to get rid of it very quickly because he was afraid to bring it down with the double team.
And Jack, as we saw in the replay, it looked like Cycli actually shook the rim on that lay-in by Manning, which of course could have been offensive interference, but was not called, and the Hawks do not get the points. There's that good defense. Shaw playing Manning. Koncak about punched it away. It's 3-2 Miami. Over the top from Glenn Rice, who hit his first 2 jumpers in game number 3. We were recapping the games. In one, Miami won. Atlanta came back and won the second game there after the brawl and scored 104 points, and both teams had the 56 personal fouls. Farrell was the key man. In game 3, the story of that game, Smith, Cycli playing outstanding ball along with Sally, and Willis and Blaylock's offensive inefficiency. Augmon hard to the rack. He's fouled by Cycli.
One thing I've noticed already different for the Atlanta Hawks in this ball game, it seemed like in game 3, every time down, Willis started out on the block, and that made it very easy for the Miami Heat to double team. Now there is Augmon going to the basket and picks up the foul. As I say, Augmon, you haven't heard a lot about him because Blaylock has shot the ball so poorly to this point in the season. It kind of overshadows the fact that Stacey Augmon's numbers are down 5 points per game. He's shooting the ball 54%, but his attempts are way down. Steve Smith has done a good job on him on defense, but Augmon also has to become more involved in the offense.
Well, Augmon's game comes out of the Atlanta defense, and that's been lacking in this series in terms of creating transition opportunities. And by the way, both Sally and Cycli could have been charged with that foul. They've decided to give it to John Sally. So he picked up his first personal. Atlanta leading in this game by 3 points. 10 to shoot. Steve Smith missing from the perimeter. Miami Heat only 1 for 6 early in this game. They got off to a good offensive start in game number 3. Kevin Willis drawing that double team. Puts the ball on the floor, loses it out of bounds. The second Hawks turnover. Lenny Wilkins very upset with Willis.
Well, a lot of times he wants Willis rolling out of the low post because, once again, it makes it very easy for the double team. Willis doesn't protect the ball. He needs to get something moving, maybe a back screen to get him one-on-one situations here.
Atlanta with 3 turnovers and 3 trips, and Augmon fouls Steve Smith. Steve Smith had a playoff high in game 1 scoring. He erased that and bettered it in game 2, and then bettered it even again in game 3 with 25 points. Cycli one-on-one with Koncak. Loves to go to his right in the paint. Koncak commits the foul.
Nice.
And wave off the basket, according to Ronnie Nunn. First he signaled good, then he waved it off.
No basket there. I thought he was in the act of shooting as he made the move across the middle there, and no basket is going to be awarded. Now let's see where the foul occurs. He's already has the ball up, and I thought that's where it occurred, but they're not going to give him the basket, which means he's not going to get the free throws, so the Heat will take the ball out of bounds on the side. Well, they are going to give him 2 free throws here, but how can you give him 2 if the basket does not count, if he's not in the act of shooting?
They're saying that it happened after the whistle. The play had stopped. That's a beauty.
But still, if it's after the whistle, you're not over the limit, so you get the ball out of bounds on
Absolutely.
the side. So,
yeah, so it wasn't a shot attempt.
So he gets 2 free throws anyway.
Cycli has struggled from the line. He's only 7 of 14 from the free throw stripe, but look at the game 3 numbers on the boards. 20 rebounds in 44 minutes. John Sally played 48 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you saw he did not score at all in game 2. He complained, saying that he needs to be in there more, got more minutes. If it were not for the fact that Long missed game 3 with that suspension, he might not have played again, but he came out, proved himself right.
Beautiful pass into John Koncak. It'll be a 3-point opportunity, and it was Mookie Blaylock 30 feet away from the basket who rifled the bullet down low to John Koncak, and that is the first interior basket scored by John Koncak in this playoff series, and he's a 7-footer.
Well, normally, because of the way the Hawks run their offense, they get this guy outside. He can make the jump shot, and that is the shot that the Heat gave up in game 3. They wanted him shooting the ball. But this time, once again, they're trying to do things differently, give him opportunities going to the hole maybe, and that will maybe open up something for Willis.
That decision a moment ago to give Sally the foul when it could have been on either of the players could hurt, because John Sally was called for the personal there and is now carrying 2 early fouls. Koncak.
That's the shot he normally gets right there.
It's 9-4.
Particularly early in the game. They will try to channel the ball to Koncak to see if he's going to make it. He's made a couple of shots so far.
Cycli with the double team. This time they're sending Blaylock. Cycli got it out to Shaw. Blaylock ran at him. Sally with the offensive board. Glenn Rice.
He has
3 rims
looks.
out. Rice controls the ball with the drive. Inside. Koncak, good defense. Manning with the rebound, fouled by Brian Shaw.
Rice has gotten great looks at the basket. I mean, normally the Heat would give anything to get him those kinds of shots. He is shooting it just a little quickly so far, just simply because the Hawks are doing a good job of running at him as he has spotted up to line up for the shot.
Coming into this series, Miami was shooting at 43% from the floor, only 10% so far tonight. 1 for 10. Danny Manning with a short arm. And as you notice, Danny Manning has taken that wrapping off his right elbow where he had suffered from bursitis. Cycli into the paint. Willis with a rebound. 1 for 11, Miami in this game. 9-4 Atlanta.
The other thing that has happened to this point, you have not seen the Miami Heat get into the offensive board as they did early in game 3.
Miami playing tight. Hawks have scored 5 of their points on the fast break to lead it by 5, 9-4. Danny Manning 0 for 3 to start this game.
Well, and that's kind of converse to what we've seen from Danny in the previous games in this series. You know, you see him in the second half when the Hawks really have needed him to step up. He has just 14 points in the second half in this series here. Of course, you remember back to game 1, Lenny didn't feel as though he was effective, so he set him much of period number 4. He did have a good game 2 after the brawl, but still just 5 field goals in the second half all the way through the series. They'll need him down the stretch to become bigger, and especially if the double teams are working against Willis down the stretch.
Team fouls 4 against the Heat, 3 against Atlanta. Next time the Heat fouls Atlanta, they'll be going to the free throw line. 6:29 to go, first quarter. Hawks 9-4, and that's the 4th Atlanta turnover.
And not the kind of turnover you normally see Mookie Blaylock make. Not a whole lot on that pass.
Mookie Blaylock, been struggling in this series, has appeared to be somewhat tired. He plays a lot of minutes.
Well, you know, the thing is, when his offense is not going, it seems like it affects the other parts of his game.
4 to shoot, 3. Sally will have to try the 17-footer. Koncak with a rebound. Miami couldn't get anything going in the half-court set, and the Hawks are back quickly. Augman, that's where he's at his best, on the run.
Well, you see what's happening right now. This is more of the Atlanta Hawk team we've seen all season. A team that has a little bit of an attitude on defense, and other teams understand that, and they are playing very well defensively and not giving up the second shot baskets. That's a huge part of defense.
Smith got the quick double team. Sally with the short jumper. It won't go down. That's 10 consecutive misses by Miami, and that's the 5th turnover by Atlanta as Blaylock continues to struggle. 5 Atlanta turnovers.
You'll see Ogman here getting points off the fast break. I think that is so important for this Atlanta team. So often, whether or not they win games depends upon how productive on the offensive end their guards are. Ogman off to a good start in this game. Blaylock made his only shot, a three-point basket. He's remaining patient, waiting for the offense to come to him.
Miami with 10 consecutive misses. Steve Smith on the drive. Hands it off inside. There's Brian Shaw with a lay-in, and that was caused by the excellent penetration from the 6'8" Steve Smith. 11-6. Atlanta, 5 minutes to go, first period. Danny Manning, who's 0 for 3, make it 1 for 4. Manning with his first bucket of the night.
Well, you talk about the outside shots and the importance of something coming from the outside. The Hawks really have not looked at Willis at all on offense. That's something they're going to let develop and try to establish an outside game.
Open man, Sally. Bullet pass inside. Brian Shaw, first the recipient of a pass from Smith. Now from Sally, it's 13-8, and Shaw has 4.
Well, the reason why Shaw has been open the last couple of times, Mookie Blaylock normally tries to get steals from the weak side. He'll leave his man to try to pick the pockets to get some early offense. The Heat have made him pay for it twice now. And there he is again.
Konkak commits the personal foul. That came off an ill-advised shot attempt from Stacey Augmon, who doesn't have that outside game.
And now here's the look. Now look, where's Mookie Blaylock? He's out there looking for opportunities to pick the ball off. Steve Shaw staying alert around the basket. And there he is once again, gets to step on Blaylock and gets 2 free throws.
May see a little bit more of Enos Watley in this game, who has come in for Blaylock, who struggled and played decently. As a matter of fact, I think Watley has played better at the point in this playoff series than he had all regular season.
Well, he's been forced to play more minutes because of Blaylock's ineffectiveness on offense.
Atlanta by 3. Brian Shaw has the last 6 Miami points. Wave off the basket. The foul out on the floor.
Yeah, Mookie Blaylock, you know, I think it's important for Mookie to create some stuff off the dribble. You look at Mookie over his career, he's a 42% field goal shooter. Then you get to the playoffs, he's around 33%. So what we're seeing from him on offense is not out of the norm. It's closer to reality than what you might think with this guy. The thing that's going to allow his field goal percentage to go up depends upon how many opportunities he creates for himself off of the defense. That's where he gets a lot of his points. Now look at here. He's just not shot the ball well, but even though the Hawks have been able to force 17 turnovers a game here, he's not been able to get out on the break and get the easy baskets.
Atlanta by 5, 4:12 to go, first quarter. Mookie Blaylock with 5 points. Augmon 4, Konkak 4 for Atlanta. 6 points from Shaw for Miami. 10 to shoot. Into Cycling. Single coverage. There comes Blaylock. Who's the open man? Rice for the drive. Sally. Long shot with 4 on the shot clock.
Oh, great job, Ronnie.
Big
Cycling.
offensive board for Ronnie Cycling, but he steps into the double team. This is Shaw. 3-point attempt. Punched away. And that's a Miami foul.
Now Cycling reaching in, trying to get to Konkak as he came up with that ball. But still, I think the job that the Heat are doing right now around the basket is very important. They're not a very good shooting team on their initial offensive set, but what has made them effective is their ability to get second shots. They did that time, but Shaw missed the jumper.
Going to be some substitutions coming in here. John Sally 0 for 4. Glenn Rice is 0 for 5. Neither Rice nor Sally nor Smith have scored for Miami so far. And there is Grant Long coming back into the game. He missed Game 3 due to suspension for fighting in the brawl on Saturday night in Atlanta. And Bimbo Coles will also check in. But Grant Long has not been a major contributor statistically to this Miami team during the playoffs here.
Yeah, just 9 points a game here in this series and 2.5 rebounds as Konkak misses both free throws, so that makes it easier for Kevin Lockwood to leave that starting lineup as it was. He'll have to come in and do the little things that he always does, and that is to be effective still on defense and to lead by example for this young team.
Steve Smith with 8 on the shot clock. Pick and roll with Grant Long. Open man is Long. Blaylock right in his face. 4 seconds. Bimbo Coles. Not this time. Another offensive
There he is,
rebound.
right
It's long this time. 3:16 to go in the quarter. New shot clock for the Heat. Sally is fouled as he drives to the basket. Hawks lead it by 5.
Well, as you look at Kevin Willis right there, he is 0 for 2 from the field again. 0 for 8 the last game. 0 for 2 here. Now, the Hawks have done a good job of bringing him from the weak side, trying to mix up things for him, trying to get him one-on-one opportunities, but he still hasn't responded. One of those misses on a wide-open tip, so that means he's anxious to get the shots and just hasn't had the success here in this ballgame.
And the Hawks are about to continue with the unusual substitution pattern of Lenny Wilkins. Adam Keefe, who played 15 minutes in game number 1 when the Hawks lost and Danny Manning was on the bench late in the ball game, comes into this game now. Adam Keefe did not play 1 minute in game number 3. However, he is 3 of 3 from the floor.
You know, he's a banger around the basket. That might be the move for that. Lenny feels he needs to do something to keep the offensive rebounds down for the Heat, so he's going to get Adam Keefe in there and give him an opportunity to see if he can put his body on some people. And Mookie spotted up that time once again, and he's done it both times wide open with very good concentration, and he has remained calm on his shot attempt.
In game number 3, Blaylock was 0 for 11 before he hit his threes. Steve Smith answers for Miami. For Steve Smith, that's his 6th three-pointer in this playoff series. Once again, Hawks by 3, 2:38 to go in the first quarter. Elo about to come in for the Atlanta Hawks. Open man's contact from 18. Ogman with the offensive board.
I really think on that possession there, one more pass by Concat could have gotten the ball to Stacey Ogman, who was wide open on the other side.
Cycling with the personal, and that'll be 2 on him and 2 on John Sally, both in the first quarter. So a little bit of a concerned situation with the fouls for the Heat. We'll be right back.
This program is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by the National Basketball Association. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Basketball Association is prohibited.
18-15 to score here as the first period comes to a close. 2 minutes left. Kevin Willis in game 3 was glued to that lower block. Now look, he steps out here and says, if you guys are going to double team me, you're going to have to cover a lot of the court here. I think that's a good move. The rotation should create something on the weak side. Willis stand involved, although he hasn't scored yet again in this game. 0 of 2 from the field. He does have 5 rebounds, and he's doing a good job of throwing out of the double team.
Kevin Willis came over to this arena an hour before the team did today to practice his shooting. Nevertheless, at this point is 0 for 2. Manning only 1 for 4. Rice 0 for 5. Sally 0 for 4. That's 1 field goal from the combined 4 forwards from both of these teams. And you know, you notice John Koncak, who just shot his 4th free throw here tonight, had taken only 2 free throw attempts coming into this series. As you pointed out, Goose, Koncak diving down onto the block now as Willis gets off of there. He'll be going to the line more.
Well, you think about it. Cycli or Sally, whomever's guarding Koncak, is the guy going for the double team. So the natural thing to do is for that guy who is Koncak in this situation to dive towards the basket. He will get shot opportunities there, and with his size, the other guys will have to foul him. They'll put him on the free throw line.
2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Long defended by Adam Keefe. Koncak came over to help, caused him to miss it. Willis kept it alive. Elo, it's 4-on-1. Keefe to Mookie, who's going to turn down the 3. Hawks blew an easy layup opportunity on that 4-on-1 break.
That's the difference between having one of your big people in the middle handling the fast break. Tougher for him to make decisions, and it probably should have come the other way. Adam Keefe gets called for the travel, so it looks as though the Heat will double up on any person that the Hawks put down on that low block. It worked so well for them in game 3.
Danny Manning on the bench. Koncak and Willis have stayed in there. Sally inside the paint. Pass to Cycli.
Now look at Blaylock. Now Coles is open on the other side. Tough shot there.
And run down by Sally. Another offensive rebound. Craig Elo with the foul on Grant Long. You don't want to foul Grant Long. Don't mess with Grant Long because he's liable to squeeze that chewing gum out of your throat.
Yeah, well, that happened. I don't think we'll see that again.
That, of course, referring to Dwayne Farrell, who was fouled hard by Long in game number 2. Farrell with the taunting finger pointing at Long. Long choked him. That started the bench-clearing brawl that led to Long's 1-game suspension. And Enos Watley coming in for Blaylock. Mookie Blaylock tonight does have 8 points as he's hit 2 3-point shots early in this game.
You know, Elo will go down hard on this foul here. You remember in game 3 he went down and he has a little bit of a shiner because of it. The contact that occurred when he and Steve Smith tangled up. Manning back into the ball game.
He comes in for Kevin Willis. So it's Manning, Koncak, Elo, Enos Watley, and Adam Keefe, an unusual grouping of players for the Hawks. I don't know that this 5 has played together in the whole series. And you see one of the problems with that. Adam Keefe was not looking. Koncak threw it to him. And this unusual substitution pattern has hurt Atlanta as now they lead by 2.
Well, the thing is, with this lineup on the floor, if the Heat so desire, they can run double teams, particularly when someone has the ball other than Enos Watley, because that could cause some turnovers and some easy scoring opportunities. And there it is again.
Bad pass, and Watley saves it with 6 to shoot. Jump hook from Adam Keefe. Nothing there. Watley fouls Bimbo Cole. Strange lineup. Miami's loving it.
Well, you look at this lineup on the floor, and you can see the confusion. There's Enos Watley, and Koncak normally would have a Willis or someone else in there that can handle the ball better. Throws it to Adam Keefe, who is naturally not expecting the outlet pass there. He fumbles it away, and Coles gets the easy basket. But you look at this unit on the floor, and Lenny's going to make a change. He's got to get another ball handler in there, and he's going to bring Stacey Augmon back in to handle some of this pressure.
Goose, easy for me to ask, hard for you to answer. Why this lineup?
Well, as I say, I think one thing that Lenny was trying to do when he brought Adam Keefe into the game is to take away the offensive rebounding for the Miami Heat. He's a banger. He gets in there around the basket, and he does a pretty decent job of putting his body on people, keeping them away from the offensive boards. So that's why that happened. The problem is when you get down on the other end, you get confusion because he is not normally a guy that they would go to early in their offensive plays at that small forward position.
Danny Manning handling the ball end to end. He turns it over. That's 8 Atlanta turnovers. Miami has already scored 8 points off Atlanta turnovers and a chance to take the lead at the end of this quarter. Sally misses. Long rebounds.
Jump ball.
He's called for traveling with 25.1 seconds to go in the first quarter. Atlanta, who has led all the way, will have an opportunity to maintain their lead.
Well, you'll see Steve Smith here with the little pass to John Sally. He gets it blocked. He wanted a foul there. But there's Grant Long doing what he does so well, following up the offensive rebound. And he got called up and down for the travel.
The game and shot clock virtually simultaneously, just a fraction of a second difference. Augmon with the penetration, contact from 19.
He has been there so far in this period for the Hawks. He is a bailout guy. Every time they need someone to throw it to, they know where they can find him.
I don't think Bimbo Coles is going to get that shot off. Well, he got it off at a half-hearted attempt. Atlanta leads it by 3 at the end of the first period. Mookie Blaylock with 8 points, 2 3-pointers. Bimbo Coles has 3 points as Grant Long gets his first action since game 2. For the first time in the history of the NBA, the number 8 seed with an opportunity here in Game 4, a chance for the Heat to upset the number 1 seed Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks with their backs to the wall playing an intense game, albeit mistake-prone, leading by 3. Atlanta has committed 8 turnovers despite shooting 47% tonight, and the Heat only 22%, but the Heat has scored 8 points off the 8 Atlanta turnovers.
Yeah, that's a turnaround. The Heat in the previous games, for the most part, shooting the ball very well. They have had a lot of opportunities here because of their ability to get to the offensive boards. They haven't been able to convert them yet.
11:52 to go, opening seconds of the second quarter. Bimbo Coles is fouled on the drive. No basket. By the way, let me explain while they're all excited about this. Remember earlier when Cycli was fouled, his ball went in the basket. They didn't give him the shot attempt. They did give him the two-point shots. The reason they did that, according to Ronnie Nunn, is that he lost control of the ball, and thus it was a loose ball foul. Thus, that's why the basket didn't count.
So they think this is another opportunity for them to get a three-point play. It will not work out that way here.
From the corner, Grant Long.
Grant Long, a better shooter from the outside at that power forward spot.
Watley is knocked down by Coles. No foul. Bullet pass inside from Danny Manning to Stacey Augmon. That's what Manning does so extremely well.
Well, he draws the double team on that low post, and he's able to throw out of it as he did that time.
Steve Smith, all 6'8" of him, drives inside. That left. Glenn Rice open for the two. Glenn Rice's first basket of this game. Hawks by 1.
Well, you just know with the shots he has had at the basket here, wide open shots, he was going to answer sooner or later. He knocks down the three.
Speaking of wide open, Elo knocks it down. How about this? Who would have guessed that coming into game 4 of the playoffs, the Eastern Conference champion Hawks would be led in scoring by bench player Craig Elo.
He's shot the ball very well, but he's played hard also. A lot of playoff experience.
Bimbo Coles beat Enos Watley and had the uncontested easy lay-in.
And you've seen the point guards for the Heat continue to get shots at the basket because the Hawks use their point guard a lot to go and double up and try to get steals to create offense.
Good adjustment from Miami's point of view. Elo missed it. Big jam from Stacey Augmon. Atlanta by 3. Stacey Augmon playing better tonight offensively, has 8 points. All of them have come from inside.
Well, that's not right. They called the foul. Ronnie Nunn signaled foul on number 5, which of course is Manning, and it was Elo. So give Elo the personal.
Hawks by 3 points, 10 minutes to go. First half, Harold Miner in the ball game for the first time tonight for the Miami Heat. He's the youngster out of Southern Cal, wears number 32 with an awesome jam in game number 3. He's really got the hops. Grant Long's jump hook misses. Kevin Willis with a rebound. Willis, Manning, Watley, Augmon, Elo on the floor for Atlanta. Elo inside to Danny Manning, knocked out of bounds by Grant Long. Hawks have the ball with 16 on the shot clock. Timeout. In the East, we've been seeing a lot of defense in the playoffs this year, but last night, Phoenix beat Golden State 140 to 133, and Charles Barkley moved into a tie for 3rd place on the all-time most points scored in a playoff game behind Michael Jordan and Elgin Baylor. The Western bracket, by the way, the Suns wrapped up their 3-game sweep of the Warriors and will await the winner of the Rocket-Blazers series. If it's the Rockets, what a series that'll be. And the Sonics and the Jazz both lead in those series 2-1.
What are you trying to say? There wasn't any defense in that game between Phoenix and Golden State last night? You know, Barkley all season played with injuries, complained about being hurt, but he said all along he was going to be ready for playoff time. A lot of people question whether or not he'd be able to turn it on. He's certainly done that so far in the playoffs.
Tipped out of bounds with 13 on the clock. It'll belong to Atlanta. 9:42 to go in the first half. Hawks lead it 28-5. Biggest lead in the game by Atlanta has been 5 points.
See if the Hawks now try to get Willis involved in the offense. They're going to have to get something from him if they're going to win this game.
Inside to Danny Manning. Danny Manning, an excellent post-up player at 6'10", hasn't had the ball down there many times. Actually, the biggest lead in this game has been Atlanta by 7. They now lead once again by 5. Harold Miner. Lightning quick, excellent jumper. Misses inside. Manning rebound. That's his second. Manning is open.
Oh, wonder what he waited on. Just wanted to get a little closer, but he talked himself out of making that shot.
Long off the break. Hard into Manning. Offensive foul. I got to tell you, you can call Danny Manning soft, but anybody in the NBA who will stand up and take that, I won't call soft.
I think I would have run over here and hit behind you. Oh, boy, that is right at Danny Manning. and he jumps up, and of course he's excited about making the play. We'll see if he thinks twice about it the next time.
As the first personal foul on Grant Long. Hawks by 5, 8:56 to go in the half. Watley with extended minutes at the point. Blaylock struggling. Manning passes inside to Stacey Augmon. He is fouled. Was it Glenn Rice who got him or Long? At the conclusion of tonight's game, Jack Gibbons and I will be selecting the Budweiser Player of the Game, and Budweiser will donate $1,000 in his behalf to the United Negro College Fund. Augmon goes to the free throw line where he is 4 of 5 in this series.
Stacey has been the guy. He's been able to open himself up around the basket. He has gone to the offensive boards for a couple of putbacks, but he's also been involved in things, as you see Mookie Blaylock coming back into the game on the initial set, because the Hawks have not been able to get Mookie or Kevin Willis the shots they normally do.
Augmon with 10 points. He's 3 of 4 from the floor, and he knocks down those free throws, and the Hawks match their biggest lead of this game 4, 32-25. 8:40 to go in the first half.
And that's what Augmon has averaged in the whole series. Nice job. Grant Long keeps his dribble alive and gets to the baseline.
Somebody forgot to guard Grant Long. Remember, he has been a starter all along for this team. Cycli lost his starting job to Sally due to an injury. Manning spinning into the paint, not this time. Long with the rebound. He has 3. Cole's penetration, pull-up jumper over Blaylock. Coles really plays Mookie Blaylock tough.
Well, he's played the Hawks all year tough, and I think he looks at Blaylock as a real challenge for himself. The all-star guard, he wants to be able to do well, and he has in that matchup.
10 to shoot for Atlanta. Manning curling into the paint, open for a 3. Blaylock has 3 3-pointers tonight. He is perfect from 3-point range and has 11 points in this game.
Well, they're testing Blaylock to see if he's going to be able to shoot the ball. And there's a tangle up down there, and the officials jumping in very quickly, and they're going to call the double technical foul as soon as something happens. This is really the first little skirmish that we've had since game 2 in Atlanta. So they ring them both up for technicals here very quickly.
And both of them is Glenn Rice and Stacey Augmon. You look at the matchup here.
Well, here's the tangle, and of course the whistle sounded very quickly. Now watch a little extra action right here, and both guys get the technical.
And remember, on the second technical for either, they'll be ejected from the game. Hawks lead it by 6, 7:43 to go in the first half. Glenn Rice with only 1 field goal. John Sally also has just 2 points. The starting forwards for the Miami Heat. Sally on the bench at the moment. Cycli against Willis. Fouled as he spins into the paint.
And this time he is in the act of shooting, so he'll get a couple free throws. I think. No, let's change that. He will not get the 2 shots.
Hawks have committed 4 team fouls. The Miami Heat only 1. Andrew Lang gets into the ball game for Danny Manning, and the roster shuffle by Lenny Wilkins trying to stay alive in the first round playoff series continues. It's Lang and Willis, Elo, Augmon, and Blaylock for Atlanta.
Lang normally the first big man off the bench for the Hawks. Tonight, though, you saw Adam Keefe in there as Lenny Wilkins went to his bench in a substitution pattern that was very unusual.
Augmon with the steal, Atlanta with the numbers. Elo wanted to pull up, lost the handle of the ball. That's another fast break opportunity. The Hawks have not even come up with a shot attempt.
See, I would have gone to Willis on the other side for a couple reasons. The first one, Willis needs to get involved in the offense. That would have been an opportunity there. And then the other thing, the Hawks didn't score going the other way.
Blaylock is 4 for 4 from 3-point land and has 14 points, and the Hawks have built a 9-point lead, make it 7. Rice on the transition as Atlanta celebrated Blaylock's 4th 3-pointer.
Good job pushing the ball right back at the Hawks after the basket.
Blaylock spotting up in that corner again, gets the pick from Kevin Willis. 10 to shoot for Atlanta. Augmon looking for penetration, kicks it to Blaylock. Missed finally from there. Augmon kept it alive, out of bounds, off Blaylock. Miami ball, Atlanta by 7. We have 6:31 to go in the first half of play. Whoops, watch that left foot. Ow. Well, the Atlanta Hawks leading it by 7, 6.5 to go in the first half of play. Mookie Blaylock has struggled throughout this series, but he has found his long-range shot tonight. No more than 3 field goals in either games 1, 2, or 3. But tonight, Mookie is 4 of 6 from beyond the arc.
Well, Lenny has made a few changes, and one thing he's doing differently in this game with Blaylock, he's taking the ball out of his hands and not giving him opportunities to create so much off the dribble for himself. They're running him off of screens, and he's been able to spot up and get his shots in a different manner than in the previous 3 games of this series.
Atlanta by 7. By the way, the first 11 minutes, Atlanta committed 8 turnovers. The last 6.5, none. Minor into cycle. He has a tough time with Lang. Willis on the double team. Who's the open man? Holds for the drive. Long open. Willis. Bimbo Cole's excellent defense, stopping the Hawks break by getting up on Augman.
Well, he's so quick. I think that's another reason why he's been effective against Mookie Blaylock. His quickness gets him opportunities on both ends of the floor.
They had posted Augman, and Mookie Blaylock gives Atlanta their biggest lead with his 5th three-pointer out of 6 attempts, if you can believe that. Atlanta by 10.
Well, a good look right there what they're doing on offense. You know the double teams are coming down low, so if you rotate that ball around, someone's got to be open. It's been Blaylock in this game.
Glenn Rice misses from 16 feet. Andrew Lang with the rebound. Tonight, Miami not offensively rebounding as well as they did in Game 3 either.
Right, and the Hawks force you to miss a lot of shots in that first set on offense.
Posting Willis on the block. He can't get around the defense of Long, but Stacey Augman on the drive gets the lay-in, and Stacey has 12 points. It's 29 points for the Hawk guards in this first half so far. Elo with the rebound off the foot of Cycli. It'll be Atlanta ball.
Now here's Willis trying to post up, but once again, Long playing him very well, and you get a look here at the attention they're giving to Willis, which has freed up other people, and Augman this time going to the basket because his man is down there doubling up. You see Minor trying to keep the ball away from Willis.
Danny Manning back in the ball game. The last 3 minutes, Atlanta on an 11-2 run as Steve Smith also gets on the floor for the Miami Heat, and he'll defend Mookie Blaylock. Atlanta leading it by 12, biggest lead of the game.
Nice.
The pass inside from Augman to Danny Manning.
Nice.
Where was this team on Tuesday night?
Well, I think they're just more aggressive, and it all has started on defense. This is a team that gets more and more excited if they force turnovers and if they get quick opportunities. You've seen the Hawks do that in this game.
Timeout on the floor. It's only a 20-second timeout as you look at Brian Winter in the brown coat there. He's the Hawk assistant along with Lenny Wilkins. Lenny talking to his charges here, and Atlanta up 45-31. The Hawks with their backs to the wall. I'll remind you again in case you're not aware, and if you're an NBA fan, I know you are, this would be the first time that a number 8 seed has upset a number 1 seed in the history of the NBA since the 5-game series started, if Miami is able to beat Lenny Wilkins' Atlanta Hawks here tonight.
Well, you had to look at Lenny right there, and he knows that coming into this game he had to make some changes because of the effect that the double team had on Kevin Willis down low. He has taken Kevin totally off of that low block for the most part, forcing the double team against some other people, and that's freed up Mookie Blaylock for threes.
4:33 to go in the first half. Coles and Minor at the guard. Steve Smith up to the quick forward. Minor's pull-up jumper goes down. The left-hander hits it from about 18 feet. Talking about number 1 seed struggling. Remember last year, Phoenix went down 0-2, losing at home to the Lakers before they came back and won 3 in a row to advance to the Western Conference Finals. Danny Manning from the baseline. Hawks by 12. Miami on the run. Bimbo Coles blows by Blaylock. Pull-up jumper. It's a 10-point game.
Yeah, he has played well. And you see the effectiveness the Heat have had when they've been able to get that rebound and get some early offense.
Augman posted against Minor. There's the double team. Open man is Manning. I mean, he is really open.
Yeah, you've seen that. The double team's coming, and they're good rotation. They're throwing out, and they're getting the ball around there to the weak side before the Heat defense can catch up.
Despite 6 misses on field goal attempts so far tonight, Danny Manning does have 8 points. Atlanta leads by 12. Foul on the ball.
Hawks foul number
That's on Andrew Lang, his first personal.
Now watch Manning wide open on the other side, and look how long it takes for the defense to get over there. He's almost to the basket before they catch up. That's a high percentage shot for Danny.
Steve Smith has led this basketball team in scoring. In Game 3, he's been really their man. He set career highs in each game for himself. However, so far tonight, only 3 points and 1 rebound.
Right. Well, they've done a good job doubling up on him, taking the ball out of his hands. But this guy loves the challenge. I think you'll see a totally different Steve Smith as this game progresses. He's been too effective in this series.
10-point Atlanta lead, 3.5 to go in the first period. Some full court pressure from Miami. Notice that Blaylock is not handling the ball on top. He's been spotting up in the corners and cutting through the paint. Down to Augment.
Well, there he is again over in the corner. Manning took the shot, but you had Blaylock over there wide open again. And next time, I'm sure he'll get the ball.
3:10 to go in the half. Harold Miner, the jump hook. Harold Miner stands 6'5", but plays about 6'10". With the pick and roll with Blaylock. Illegal defense called by Paul Mahalik as Kevin Willis comes back in for Atlanta. Kevin Lockery says, illegal defense, NBA, my team? You got to be kidding.
Never happened.
Timeout on the floor. Atlanta leads by 8.
The NBA playoffs on TNT are brought to you by Lexus, the result of relentless pursuit of perfection. And by Champion. It takes a little more to make a champion.
Jack, explain to me why Kevin Lockery was so upset over that illegal defensive call.
Well, coaches always are. They never feel as though they get caught. But if you'll watch Ronnie Cycli down low, you'll see why the illegal defense was called. Now there's the double team. You see Cycli right in the paint, standing there, and that's why it was called. Now he's Kevin Lockery is saying Cycli was coming over from the weak side. Also look out top here. You see 3 players guarding 2, and that's why the illegal defense was called.
How about a 2-3 box and 1 matchup zone? A little college talk there.
Yeah, I think that would work in the college game, not here.
Miami shooting 64% in the second quarter. Despite that, trailing by 8 points. Augment dishes from the paint to Elo.
And over the top. Boy, you look at these wide open shots the Hawks are getting from the weak side, and the Heat will have to make some adjustments. They're just too wide open to miss many of those.
Manning only 4 of 11 tonight. Kevin Willis 0 for 2. Kevin Willis has not scored since last Saturday.
Boy.
A field goal.
A field goal. Yeah, he's had a couple free throws, but you're right.
8 to shoot. Steve Smith on the drive. That's an offensive foul as he got his arm into the gut of Stacey Augment.
You'll see Elo go down yet again. He gets his foot tangled up with Cycli. Smith steps right over, but he does. Stacey Augment does entice him into the offensive foul.
That's the fifth. That's the first team foul against Miami. Atlanta already in the penalty this quarter. 2:17 remaining in the first half. Atlanta with an 8-point lead. Blaylock misses the 3. Farrell just checked in, his first action of the night for Atlanta. He had 8 offensive rebounds in game number 3. Steve Smith buries the 3.
Now you saw the difference in that shot by Blaylock. They had kind of turned Blaylock into a 2-guard, letting him run the screens, but he creates off the dribble that time. Here he's effective getting the ball to Manning, pushing the ball right back down after the score.
Hawks by 7, 1:43 to go in the half. Heat had cut it to 5. Miner, who's been tough to defend inside, he's fouled by Dwayne Farrell. Coming up at halftime, our Reebok halftime report. Ernie Johnson is in the studio with Mad Dog Fred Carter. Look at Charles Barkley's 56-point game last night. It was something to see. How about the first quarter? He was unstoppable. As Charles told our fellas after the ball game, he said they decided to play me single coverage. I said I'd make them pay.
Well, he was 11 for 11 in that period. And a lot of teams now refuse to double on Charles because he's so good throwing out of that double team. some changes needed to be made. They never came in that game last night.
Harold Miner celebrating his birthday today. Misses both free throws. Atlanta leading it by 7. Farrell posted against the shorter Harold Miner. Inside to Danny Manning again. Manning, flashing from the weak side, has punished the Miami double teams. Manning now with 10 points could have had a lot more with a higher shooting percentage.
Yeah, you've seen a difference here in the two teams as far as the mental approach to this game. The Hawks have seemed to this point very tentative on offense. The Heat very effective on defense. Now the Heat looking tentative.
Kevin Willis is having a nightmare. He's 0 for his last 13 field goal attempts. Got the block there on the drive by Bimbo Coles. Well, that's one way to make up for your offensive lack, as Mookie Blaylock drives hard. Mookie Blaylock, the last 4 minutes, has been playing with a real fire in the gut, and the Hawks lead by 11 and are on a 6-0 run.
Harold Miner had his back turned, never saw Blaylock coming. The help was not there. He took it right to the hole.
Steve Smith, who's looking for offense, has not had much. John Sally back in, carrying 2 fouls. Sally only 2 points in this game. Miner against Farrell. He's fouled by Dwayne. That's 2 on Farrell in limited minutes.
Dwayne Farrell is in the ball game for a couple of reasons. He is pretty decent at throwing out of the double team, which you will see right here. The other thing is he can knock down the shot. So if he is where Elo is at the top of your screen on the weak side, he can knock that shot down also. But you see him getting Danny Manning an easy shot.
Harold Miner 5 of 8 now from the free throw line in this series. A 22nd timeout has been called by Lenny Wilkins, with Atlanta leading by 10 and 22.5 seconds remaining in the first half. This has indeed been a last stand for Atlanta. They are right on the edge of being eliminated by the number 8 seed Miami Heat. If Atlanta were to hold on to this lead, the teams would go back to Atlanta and play a noon 12:30 tip-off time game in Atlanta at the Omni on Sunday.
You know, one thing as we talk about the Atlanta Hawks that I've been most surprised at when and what has happened in this series is how tentative the Hawks have been, particularly on the offensive end of the floor. They have played as though they were the number 8 team at times, and they've had a hard time adjusting to what the Miami Heat have done. Here in this game, you see that swagger in this Hawk team that starts with their aggressive defensive play, and that's how they must play. They must play as though they're the favorites, and they've done that here tonight.
It's interesting, in the first game when Miami beat Atlanta on last Thursday in Atlanta, it was 93-88. Hawks did not break the 90-point barrier. Then the Hawks got 104 points in the brawl game on Saturday night, and also didn't break 90 the other night, Tuesday here, when they lost 90-86. Here, 22 seconds before halftime, Hawks on pace to score 106 with 53 points, and that has to be good news from the Lenny Wilkins point of view. Atlanta by 9, trying to post up Farrell against Steve Smith. Blaylock, the pick from Danny Manning. He's open for the jumper, takes it in for the little runner, Danny Manning.
You know, Danny's had many opportunities to look at the basket, and there's an illegal Sally steps over the line before he threw the ball in. And just a play where Sally lost his concentration long enough to force to commit the turnover. That gives the Hawks plenty of time here to get a shot off.
Interestingly, Miami in uncharted territory. They were 3 and out against Chicago 2 years ago. Didn't make the playoffs last year, so they have never been in this territory leading in a series 2-1. 2.5 seconds into Farrell. 2. He is blocked by Bimbo Coles, and Bimbo Coles continues to do a tremendous job for the Miami Heat. The Hawks lead it 55-44. Mookie Blaylock finally caught fire, 19 points. He is 5 of 7 from three-point land, has 3 assists, a couple of steals, and he's going to sell some popcorn at halftime. We'll be joining Ernie Johnson and Philadelphia 76er coach Fred Carter for the Reebok halftime report right after this timeout.
The Reebok Halftime Report is brought to you by Reebok, to remind you that on Planet Reebok, there are no rules.
They are halfway home at the Miami Arena. The Hawks trying to fight off elimination in the first round with a 55-44 lead over the Miami Heat. Ernie Johnson and Fred Carter here with the Reebok halftime report. As a coach, you talk about execution in the last couple of minutes of a half, how important that is. And we saw a pretty good illustration here as Miami had cut it to single digits, but they're down double at the half.
You're exactly right, Ernie. And what happens in a ball game, you have to be careful when you close down the last 2 minutes of a half. 2 missed free throws by Minor, air ball, not getting back on defense. They get outscored 8-2. Now they go in the locker room down double figures. Makes it a tough game for them. It is an 11-point lead at the break. Game 2 of our doubleheader is Game 4 of the Spurs-Jazz series. San Antonio took the opener at home by 17, led 24-20 after the first quarter of Game 2. And that is when the series swung Utah's way. In the last 7 quarters of that series, the Spurs have taken 143 shots and missed nearly 100 of them. The Jazz have taken 142 and made half, outscoring San Antonio over the last 7 quarters, 181-132. Utah's 2-1 series lead has been keyed by the Stockton-Mailman combo, as usual. Karl Malone scoring nearly 28 points a night in this series. And the Mailman joins us courtside from the Delta Center. Karl Malone, thank you very much for your time tonight. Let me ask you about this big swing in this series. Is it that great Utah D, or is it the fact that San Antonio can't hit anything?
Well, I think it's more they can't hit anything, and it's probably a little of what we're doing. But what we're doing right now, Ernie, I think we're playing the best defense that we ever played the whole year back-to-back in games that we need to go out and get the job done. But these kind of games right here scare the death out of you because we play really well, and hopefully we won't have a letdown. But these guys want to come in here ready to play tonight, so I think we have to go out and take care of business. But it's going to be a tough game for us, but I think it's a game we're looking forward to.
Karl, everyone's talked about your ability to run the floor, finish the break, and your post-up game. But all of a sudden now I'm watching your defense on David Robinson, and you're doing an outstanding job of taking away the quality shots that he's able to get. You want to share with us some of the things that you're doing with him?
Well, one thing I try to do, Coach, I don't try to go out and try to stop David from scoring his points because he's a great scorer. I just try to go out and bother him. I go out and try to bump him sometime. I know when I got the ball in the post, I don't like to get bumped or touched every time down. So I think I try to frustrate him more than anything. But David's a great player, and I hope and pray that he have one more game like he's been having the last couple. But I know tonight David's going to come out because he made a quote in the paper that they're going to let it all hang out, and we realize that, and they have Dennis back. But my thing is, on this team, this is the first time I went into the playoff, Coach thinking about playing defense instead of thinking about the offense, and it's amazing sometimes when you get it going defensively, it seems like the offense come a little more easier.
Karl, you bring up the name Dennis Rodman. He is back tonight, and you were one of his targets of a flagrant foul in Game 2 of this series. What was your reaction when he was suspended? Was that enough? Did you see that coming?
Well, basically, when he hit me, I think it looked worse than it did because, like I said, I've been hit in a certain spot by my little daughter harder than that. So that right there didn't really upset me, but probably what the things he was doing to the other guys. But, Ernie, I think the main thing going in this game tonight, I think we should let the fans take care of what they're going to say to Dennis. I think our job is to not get caught up in what Dennis is going to try to do as a player because whenever you do that, you take yourself out of the game. Our main objective right now is to win this ball game at all costs on this court by doing it the right way and by not doing it the wrong way and trying to hurt anybody and not worrying about Dennis. That's our main focus tonight, is not worried about Dennis Rodman, but worried about the San Antonio Spurs.
Karl, thanks for your time. Good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks, the night's other playoff game is in Denver, where the Nuggets and Sonics near the tip. Seattle is up 2-1. We will keep you posted on that game as the night goes on. And the Reebok halftime report goes on after this. And welcome back to the Reebok halftime report. If you turned in early last night, shame on you. You missed a dandy as Golden State and Phoenix played, and the Suns completed a sweep. Phoenix actually was outshot by Golden State in that game, 58% to 57%, but the difference was Charles Barkley, who had 56. If you did miss it, here's one more look.
Two-pointer ties it up for Phoenix.
He's going to shoot
a three-pointer puts him ahead.
Boom.
He still hasn't missed.
Here goes Charles once again. Another three. Oh, unbelievable. Look at Paul Westphal, the smile on his face. He said, when Charles comes to play, I feel pretty good.
I didn't really notice them having any success stopping him tonight. I mean, just seemed like when he decided to shoot, it was going in.
Nobody thought he was going to make all of his shots
He had one of the most spectacular games I've ever witnessed as a player or as a coach in playoff competition.
Only Michael Jordan and Elgin Baylor had ever scored more points in a playoff game than Charles Barkley's 56 last night. Now, if you're Don Nelson and you wake up in the morning, do you second-guess yourself at all and say, boy, I should have doubled the guy sometime?
Double him, triple him, no question about it. You go to bed and you see nothing but basketballs flying into the basket. Nelly might run out there himself and double-team him. Anything to stop Charles Barkley.
He was unstoppable last night as Phoenix swept that series with Golden State. More on the Reebok Halftime Report coming up. Ernie Johnson and Fred Carter back with you from Atlanta. A couple of things the Hawks wanted to get done as they went into Game 4 tonight. Get Mookie Blaylock going. He was 9 for 41 in the series to this point. And get Kevin Willis going. He was 0 for 8 in Game 3. How are they doing first on the Mookie situation?
Well, Mookie, as a point guard, you want to get off early in the ball game. And what happens there, you wind up with an open three, and Stacy finds him. He drains it. And once you get it going like that, the basket becomes a gully.
Kevin Willis, on the other hand.
Willis having a tough time at it. He gets a good opportunity here with an offensive rebound, and if you can see, he's in the air by himself. He misses the one and misses the second one. He's still struggling.
So what do we look for in the second half of this thing? This is the biggest game the Heat's ever played, a chance to move on.
I think tomorrow, the next game is going to be another big game for the Heat.
Oh, so you're counting this one out, huh? This one's over?
Well, the way it's going now, it looks like Atlanta has got control of the ball game. If Kevin Willis can make some baskets, Miami's going to have a tough go at it.
It is an 11-point game. The Hawks with the lead, trying to go home to the Omni for a Game 5. The third period just ahead.
The Reebok Halftime Report has been brought to you by Reebok, who reminds you that on Planet Reebok, there are no limits.
The Atlanta Hawks facing elimination in this first round from number 8 seed Miami. Miami leads in the series 2-1. Remember, in Game 2, this was a brawl game. These fellas were involved in it.
Well, you see what's happening as they walk to the locker room. First, Danny Manning was going at Steve Smith. Then Willis comes over, and they're having probably some friendly words as they go back to the locker room. But, yeah, that was a big part of Game 2.
Well, actually, what was happening there is both of them went to Michigan State. They were talking about some fraternity days back in East Lansing. Mookie Blaylock has struggled throughout this whole series. Not tonight. 19, and how about 5 of 7 from beyond the arc?
Well, they have almost turned him into a two-guard tonight. Instead of giving him the ball and forcing him to create shots off the dribble with the defense on him, the double teams are coming against the Hawks regardless of whom the Hawks put down on the low block. They're bringing the double team. They have spotted up Mookie Blaylock on the weak side, and he has been able to get numerous opportunities to score from behind the three-point line. That has been a good move. The answer to the question by Lenny Wilkins. Now, Kevin Willis, you see him again. He's struggling once again in this ball game. Still hasn't had a field goal attempt to go down for him.
I think Fred Carter said it well in the studio. If Willis starts scoring, it'll be a real struggle for the Miami Heat. And Steve Smith, who is leading the Miami Heat in scoring, has led them with 22, 24, and 25 points in games 1, 2, 3, and averages 24. Has only 8 points tonight. Glenn Rice, who is the Heat's leading scorer in the regular season, also struggling, 2 of 8 for only 4 points. The Hawks shooting 54% and have been knocking it down from beyond the arc, 5 out of 8. And those 5 have all been made by Mookie Blaylock, who is playing more like a two-guard than a point guard tonight. They've been spotting him in the corner, spotting him on the wing, and he has made Miami pay. The Heat start off with the ball, and they face some full-court pressure from Mookie Blaylock and Atlanta.
Well, he just has not been real successful in this series creating shots for himself, because when he's against Brian Shaw, he's about 3 inches shorter, and then Bernal Bimbo-Coles has been able to use his quickness against Blaylock to put him under tough shots when he's had the ball.
With 4 seconds to shoot, John Koncak fouls Brian Shaw as he got Koncak airborne. Opening moment, second half from Miami. Miami Heat leading this series 2-1, winning the first one in Atlanta, losing the brawl game on Saturday night, then winning 90-86 on Tuesday night back here in Miami. The Atlanta Hawks came out like desperate men in the first half and scored 55 points. This was interesting. Atlanta turned the ball over 8 times in the first 11 minutes. Then after they made some adjustment, Lenny Wilkins made adjustments, no turnovers the last 13 minutes.
Well, they're averaging just 12 turnovers a game in this series. They have forced Miami into 17 turnovers, although they haven't really been able to score on a lot of those turnovers. It's been different here tonight.
Brian Shaw bricks them both. Hawks by 11. Shot clock down to 8. Danny Manning calling for it, but Blaylock tosses up the shot from right on the arc. And Miami back to the ball again.
Tougher shot. You saw where that shot came from. Mookie tried to create that for himself. He was under much more pressure.
Glenn Rice popping off the screen makes it a 9-point Hawks lead. And here's the full court pressure ahead to Willis. Koncak open on the baseline. Danny Manning with 14 first half points.
They have to keep that ball moving. It stayed a little long with Danny Manning. It's a lower percentage shot, but Smith puts him on the free throw line.
Smith picked up his 3rd personal foul now, and Stacey Augmon, who's been shooting free throws very well in this series, goes back to the free throw line. That's 3 on Smith. Smith and Shaw both were nicked up with nagging injuries coming into the playoffs, both playing without injury here, but that was a concern of Kevin Lockery. Augmon continues his good free throw shooting. Coming up next, we will be going to Salt Lake City, where the blonde bomber returns, Dennis Rodman, and the Spurs also facing elimination from the Utah Jazz. I don't know if the Spurs are going to dig out of that hole.
I don't know, and I tell you, the Utah Jazz playing with a lot of confidence in that building against San Antonio. I mentioned they have not won. San Antonio has not won in that building, but once in about 6 seasons. So they should have a lot of confidence, and they do.
Augmon playing Smith very tough. Offensive rebound for Cycle. He spins to the paint. He's called for traveling as he leans in on Koncak. As we pointed out in the other 3 games in this series, when Cycle spins into the paint to his right, he plays. Koncak can't stop him one-on-one. But when Koncak can get him down on the baseline, it's another story.
Well, Koncak trying to force him baseline because that's where the help is, and he understands also that Cycle is pretty effective turning back to the middle. That has worked well, keeping him out of the flow on offense.
10 to shoot for Atlanta. Blaylock to Manning. It's blocked. Koncak with a long follow. Rebound, Kevin Willis.
Well, now Blaylock handling the ball a lot, and it's a little bit tougher for him to get his shots off. Nice pass right there to Willis, and he finally gets a basket. His first in 2 games.
First one since last Saturday night. 6 days. But look at a long drought.
The other thing about that, look at how it came about. He was not on the low block, which he had been to this point in every game previously. He gets that off the pick and roll.
Manning's 2nd personal foul.
Here's the block by Sally, and it forces the shot by Koncak. The Hawks get to the offensive rebound and get finally a basket for Kevin Willis.
That looked more like a execution block. Steve Smith's jump hook won't fall. Koncak runs down the loose ball. John Koncak has 5 rebounds tonight. Atlanta leading by 13. 9:19 to go in the 3rd quarter. Hawks trying to stave off elimination.
Well, that has been a tremendous help for the Hawks in this game, allowing the Heat just 1 shot at the basket every time down. The Hawks very effective in their initial flow on the defense. They have forced Miami into the half-court game. If you can take the 2nd shot away from this team, they're going to struggle, and that's been the case so far.
Hawks have 15 seconds on the shot clock. Danny Manning, John Koncak, Augmon, Willis, and Blaylock on the floor for Atlanta. Also the Miami starters, the same ones who started the game. Cycle and Sally going with Shaw and Steve Smith and Glenn Rice.
You know, you've seen Mookie Blaylock handle the basketball more in the 2nd half than he did in the 1st half on offense. Now, in the 1st half, they ran him off the screens. They let him spot up on the weak side. Let's see if they go back to that. There's a screen right there, but he doesn't get the shot.
Kevin Willis gets that quick double team. Open man, Augmon. Spins into the paint. Kicks it back out. Blaylock, 4-3. Not this time. We've got a loose ball foul. It's going to be on Atlanta.
Yeah, Willis with the hold.
Atlanta by 13 points. Goose, something interesting about Blaylock. When he started, all the turnovers came when Blaylock was running it at the point. But when Elo came in and when Farrell came in and there's some more ball handlers, that's when they were able to move Blaylock over. Maybe we'll see more of that when that happens.
Yeah, I'll tell you what might also help Blaylock right now, because he has missed his last 2 or 3 shots from behind the three-point line. There's something going to the basket.
John Sally couldn't handle it. The loose ball run down by Brian Shaw, who gets the garbage points, but they count just the same. By 11 now, Atlanta leads. 8:32 to go, third quarter. Willis with an immediate double team. 10 to shoot.
The Hawks have to get reassertive on offense. You saw them playing very well in their half-court game in the first half, and here's what's happening. Once again, they're turning the ball over, but the ball is sticking a lot. It's not moving nearly as well as it did in the first half.
Craig Elo will be in the game. That will increase ball movement on the part of Atlanta. That was the first Hawks turnover in 17 minutes. Steve Smith with a nice pass inside to John Sally. Sally has only 4 points. He had no points in the second quarter. Glenn Rice fouls Danny Manning at half court.
The full court pressure is something that the Heat can put on you very quickly and force some turnovers. Here's Steve Smith with a nice little look down low to John Sally, who gets the 2 points, but they converted that basket off of a turnover.
Elo is in now as Kevin Willis sits down and the Hawks go small. John Koncak open from 18. Brian Shaw with a rebound.
Well, that's the shot the Heat want to give up right now. They'll channel the ball as much as they can to Koncak.
Elo went for the steal, and Glenn Rice made him pay. That's a 2. And the Heat have pulled to within 7. Timeout, Atlanta.
The NBA playoffs on TNT are brought to you by GMC Truck, the strength of experience, and by Dutch Boy. Give your home the look that lasts.
The Heat here on a 6-0 run, and they've been able to finally get the defense to become effective. They channel the ball to John Koncak, the guy that they want shooting it. They had so much success in Game 3 with that strategy, and that gets them out on the fast break. They get it down before the Hawks are able to set up their half-court defense, and it gets Rice the shot on the weak side. And it also brings the crowd to life. A big part of Game 3 was this loud Miami Arena crowd.
And Miami's going to go full court pressure on Atlanta on the inbound play. No problem with it here. Augment. The Koncak to Blaylock. He's missed his last 3 3-pointers after going 5 for 6 in the first half. 10 to shoot for Atlanta. Pick from Manning. Manning is going to be open for the little jump hook, but he gets it punched away.
Well, Manning needs to take that shot. Because of the double teams down there, all the big bodies, he's bringing it right to the defense.
Steve Smith. Out of bounds, Miami ball. And Miami also better from the perimeter. 7 of 21 in the first half. They're so far in this half 2 out of 3. But Steve Smith has really struggled here tonight. 2 for 7. And Smith was shooting around 51% coming into this game.
Well, he's going to have to find a way to get more attempts at the basket. 7 shots, not enough time and not enough opportunities for him to get going in this ballgame. Now, this is what worked for him. The double team led to the pass to Mookie Blaylock. He wanted to go there. Glenn Rice read it very well.
Danny Manning passed right into the teeth of the defense on the rotation. And Sally now will give it for the 3-pointer to Rice. He misses it. Sally inside cycling. Craig Elo got him.
The long shots lead to the long rebound. The defensive rebounders that time too close to the basket. Gives it up to Sally. The nice pass to Ronnie Cycli. And while Elo had all ball, Koncak got him with the bottom.
Yeah, Paul Mahalik changed the call as he went over to the side and gave it to Koncak, and that's bad news for Atlanta because now it's 3 on John. Kevin Willis back into the game. Kevin Willis with 1 field goal. 2 points in the game. Cycli not playing nearly as well tonight as he did in a very fired-up game number 3 on Tuesday. Full court pressure. Inside Augman. Miami's defense stepped up. He tried to drive between 3 defenders, led by the big body of Ronnie Cycli. Len Rice dumps it off inside.
Well, once again, when you put that ball on the floor with the Hawks and they're bringing it into the painted area, that's where all the big bodies are anyway because of the double team on Willis and the double team on Manning down there. So you have to let some shots go from the outside to force that defense to expand just a little bit.
6:10 to go in the quarter. 10 on the shot clock for the Heat. John Sally on the penetration, easily over Kevin Willis. And it is now a 4-point game. Miami on a 9-0 run since Atlanta went to the small lineup.
Well, I still think Willis is going to have to become involved on offense. And what happens now, you'll see him go to the low post, and that is just what the Heat want them to do for their defense. Now here comes the double team.
Back to Blaylock, 2 on the shot clock. Down to Willis, does he know it? No.
That is working just into the hand of the Miami defense.
Excellent point, Goose. That's what Atlanta saw all night on Tuesday.
Well, see, when you get anxious, the game is tight. Willis goes right back to where he has been this entire series, and that is the adjustment that the Heat made that worked so well for them in Game 3. Doubling up on him.
Steve Smith only 2 of 7 from the floor. Gives it up to Sally. 10 to shoot for Miami. Sally to Cycli. He's fouled.
You know, and this all started when the Heat went to the smaller lineup and came with the full court pressure. Now, you haven't seen the Hawks turn the ball over all that much against the full court pressure, but one other thing you want is the quick shot. And the Hawks have given it up very quickly on the shot attempts, and that's given the Heat opportunities to get out on the fast break.
Dwayne Farrell set to get into the game for Atlanta. Farrell was the player of the game in Game 2 with 23 points. Career playoff high, and Farrell will check in for Stacey Augman. Here's what the story is in the Eastern Conference. The Pacers eliminated the Magic first. The Bulls got the Cavs. The Knicks will play the Nets tomorrow night, which will be on TNT, by the way, leading that series 2-1.
Well, there's that pressure.
Danny Manning just threw it away. Hawks by 3. Shaw. Run down by Elo, has Blaylock and Farrell with him. Down to Farrell. It's out of bounds off Brian Shaw. 19 on the shot clock.
Great job getting back on defense that time by the Miami Heat. Watch the full court pressure. Aggressive double team. Sally, a 7-footer, comes over, makes it tough for Manning to see over it. And against this full court pressure, the Hawks making the long pass, which is exactly what the defense wants.
You sense that this is a critical point in this game for the Heat, who had lost some confidence in the first half with Atlanta coming out and playing that aggressive basketball. Kevin Lockery now trying to get his team, and remember, this young expansion team has never been here before. They have never led 2-1 in a first round. They were eliminated by Chicago 2 years ago, 3 games to none. So it is a place Miami hasn't been. Kevin Lockery has been in his long career. John Sally has been here before with the Detroit Pistons.
So often the confidence comes with defense. You saw that out of the Hawks in the first half when they were forcing the Heat to miss shots, and they got opportunities, easy opportunities on offense. Here at the Heat, growing moment by moment because of the effect the defense is having on the Hawks.
15 to shoot. Blaylock open for the jumper. He can't get it to fall. Loose ball foul is going to be on Atlanta, and it's on. Let's wait for Ronnie Nunn. He changed the call last time. We'll make sure. He has called it on Elo, and he now has 3. Let's have a look at the GMC Truck scoreboard. Seattle in front of Denver as the Sonics lead that series, trying to climb Mount Matumbo, as Ernie Johnson said earlier. 21-17. That's a first quarter score. Later tonight on TNT, San Antonio at Salt Lake City against the Utah Jazz.
With 4:49 left, you see the Miami Heat on the line. They have the rest of this period to shoot the bonus situation. They have themselves just 2 personal fouls in this period, so a long time before the Hawks get them.
Steve Smith misses it, kept alive by Willis, and controlled by Manning. Out to Elo. 11-0 run the last 5 minutes. Blaylock's going to try another
First
three.
time he's been spotted up as they did in the first half. This is the first time in this half the ball has come around the outside and found him open on the weak side.
6 threes tonight for Blaylock. Rice passes inside into the teeth of the defense. Out to Elo, who couldn't get his body turned around. He looked like a wide receiver looking for the touchdown pass. Hawks have missed several fast break opportunities here tonight, partially because of good defense. Kevin Willis buries the jumper.
Says, well, if I cannot get it from the outside, they're not going to let me have it. I'm going to step outside. He knocks down his second field goal attempt in 2 games.
Atlanta kind of went away from what worked for them in the first half, got outscored 13-9, and then went back to this.
Well, it's back to Mookie Blaylock at the 2-guard spot, at least the way he is playing. And for the first time in this period, they go back to something that worked, it seemed, almost every time in the first half, giving him opportunity behind the 3-point line out of the double team.
The most points Blaylock had scored in this series was 9 in a game. He has 22 here tonight as Atlanta leads by 7. 4 minutes to go in the third period. Willis 2 out of 2 for Atlanta in the third. The rest of the team 1 for 8.
And that 3-point shot that you just saw by Mookie Blaylock.
The lob into Cycling. The weak side helping the block. I think that was Farrell who got it. Blaylock, penetration, dishing to Manning. He's fouled on the drive.
Manning very good at getting that shot off. He gets it off very quickly. That time he knew the contact was going to come, threw it up towards the rim. Cycling picks up his third.
Danny Manning, who has not played well from the free throw line in this series, only 8 out of 12 there. Only shot 66% during the regular season. Danny Manning with his first points of this second half. He has 11 for the game. Make that 16 for the game, and the Hawks are on a 7-0 run.
Well, the Heat made that run. The Hawks, as experienced teams do, have answered it with their own 7-0 run, and we'll see if the Heat have enough left here in this half, in this period, to get it back down.
Glenn Rice got airborne, couldn't shoot it, dished it off. Here comes Shaw. His won't fall. Offensive board to Miami. Among the tall timber, John Sally misses. Manning rebounds. Elo and the Atlanta Hawks run. Cross court all the way to Blaylock. Open for the set shot. He decided not to take it.
Well, he's playing smart. You know, he's in a situation here where he has to keep his confidence high, and he gets a good shot for his teammate. So even though he didn't score, that's going to work on his confidence.
Atlanta was leading by 4 points when Lenny Wilkins called that timeout, and they've rebuilt the lead now 68-57 with under 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Smith drives into 3 Atlanta players. Kevin Willis got the ball standing on the baseline. It will belong to Miami.
You know, the real important thing is you look at Willis right there. It's important for him to stay active in other areas. You know, he wants to score more points. The offense geared to other people because of the Miami defense cycling leaving. That might make it easier for Willis to get involved on offense.
Long and Bimbo Coles check into the lineup. Bimbo 9 points in the first half. Grant Long had 5 to go with 3 rebounds. The blocking foul called on Atlanta.
Willis wanted to push off, so did the Atlanta bench. You see Lenny.
Hey, that's a wild tie for the conservative Lenny Wilkins. Huh?
You know, you call him conservative. He wants you to know that he is not all that conservative, especially when it comes to things that happens on the floor, and that's why he wanted to push. You saw Long give him just a little bit of forearm as Willis squared up. 4 personal fouls now, so he's going to have to sit down.
And here comes Andrew Lang into the game for Kevin Willis. Kevin Lang played 5 minutes in the first half, did not score, had 1 rebound.
Tough way for Kevin Willis to pick up foul number 4. Long misses that first attempt.
Nobody for Miami has more than 3. Cycli and Smith are carrying 3 personals, and the Hawks making a living at the free throw line. Interestingly enough, you see the Heat shooting only 60%. Heat, the #1 free throw shooting team in the NBA coming into the playoffs.
Well, you know, young teams have a tendency to fall apart during this time of year in a couple areas. Number 1, from the free throw line. Another area is turnovers. Possession of every opportunity, very, very valuable, and young teams don't realize that a lot of times.
Grant Long got himself caught just in the wrong, Glenn Rice in the wrong spot there and fouled Mookie Blaylock. And for Rice, that's 3 personals. Rice has really struggled tonight. He has 8 points. Remember, he was the 4th leading scorer in the Eastern Conference coming into the playoffs, only 4 for 11 tonight.
And think about Game 3. He made his first 3 attempts from the outside. In Game 3, has not been effective here.
10 to shoot for Atlanta. Miami's defense has been phenomenal in this series. Farrell with the runner. The tip in hard by Manning. 6'10" Danny Manning got up for that one, and Atlanta leads by 12. Biggest lead for Atlanta in the game has been 14 points. 2 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Inside to Bimbo Coles. Lang fouled him.
Manning normally not the one to get to the offensive boards as much, although he is effective there. Look at him just beat Sally along the baseline. He gets the inside position, and he's going to come back again when Sally goes for the double team, and that frees him up for the dunk.
Bimbo Coles to the line. Bimbo was 1 out of 2 from the line in the first half, had 9 points, and has been a thorn in the side of the Hawks in this playoff series. But despite 16 minutes in the first half, he's only had about a minute here in the 3rd quarter. You take a look at how he stepped his game up from regular season to this series. And Enos Watley in for Atlanta for this final 2 minutes of the 3rd period. Mookie Blaylock getting a well-deserved rest. He'd have continued this pressure. Bad pass from Andrew Lang. And Bimbo Coles gets right by Watley, draws the foul. It's been a while since Atlanta has advanced in the playoffs. As you may recall, last year losing to the Bulls 3-0, 91 out to the Pistons in the first, 89 lost to the Bucks. It's been since 1988 that the Atlanta Hawks advanced.
Well, they've always been in a situation where they have not had home court advantage, which has given the opportunity to the other team. Here this year, a different kind of pressure on the Hawks, I think, as they find themselves favored with the best record in the East. Now they have to come in and play as the favorite instead of the underdog, and the Heat have used that, and at times I think the Hawks have seemed as though they were a little bit tight and tentative. Here tonight they have played much better.
Full court pressure continues from Miami, and it's been quite effective over and back. As Dwayne Farrell had to step up. With Mookie Blaylock on the bench, Atlanta having a real problem with this full court pressure from Miami.
Well, look at the length of these passes right now for the Hawks. This one goes all the way, and Watley leaves the floor, something you obviously are not supposed to do against that kind of pressure, and has to throw it up, and Farrell catches it in the front court and comes to the back court.
Steve Smith to John Sally, defended by Andrew Lang. Minute 33 to go in the 3rd quarter.
Steve Smith is at some point in this game going to have to pick it up for Miami. He has been such a huge part of their offense.
Bimbo Coles had to shoot it over Lang. Miami no field goals the last 420. Despite their outstanding defense, they have been unable to convert in the transition game, and the Hawks lead it by 9. 10 to shoot for Atlanta.
Now this unit on the floor for the Hawks, I guess if you're the Heat, that's the guy you want shooting the ball. This is an opportunity for Danny Manning to get possession of the basketball, handle it as much as he can.
Under a minute to go, Rice goes down hard, and the foul is going to be against Atlanta and Dwayne Farrell.
Hawks foul number 33, Dwayne Farrell.
With 56.9 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. That's 3 on Dwayne Farrell.
Well, this has surely been a different team tonight. The Hawks, that when Mookie Blaylock is out of the game. In the first half, when he left, the Hawks kind of fell apart just a little bit. And here in the last couple of minutes since he has been out, many opportunities coming for the Heat because of their full-court defense.
Rice's first free throw opportunity of this game. He was 4 of 6 during the series. Only 8 points tonight. He averaged 21 and change for the regular season. Harold Miner, the birthday youngster, steps in for Steve Smith.
You know, Rice has said, particularly after Game 3, when he finally got the numbers that he's used to getting, that he is better on offense when Cycli is in the game, because Cycli is another person the teams have to worry about, and he doesn't see as many double teams. But here tonight, even with Cycli out there, he's not been effective. And I think the big part of that is he got off to a slow start, missing most of his early opportunities.
Atlanta has more than doubled Miami's free throw attempts in this game. That's really been the difference. Now it's a 7-point game as Ronnie Cycli continues on the bench. Wayne Farrell thought about the jumper twice before he took it. Look at Elo with a rebound. Going to have a loose ball foul against Miami.
I think Cole's coming across the arm as Elo with another big play. He has been the star for the Hawks, averaging 17 points and leading this team in scoring in this series.
Not a good free throw shooter for a person who's not bad from the perimeter. Only 8 of 13 during the playoffs. First free throw attempt for Craig Elo here tonight. Atlanta by 8 with 40.7. It's been a long last minute for this third quarter. That's 4 points for Elo to go with his 5 rebounds. Atlanta by 9. Hawks led it by 11 at the half. Coles with a terrific drive and gets the ball back to Sally. Got to get it.
Opportunity
Tonight,
there, miss.
There's a lid on the basket for Miami, much like it was Tuesday night for Atlanta.
Yeah, but look at the guys shooting the ball. Look at the guys taking the shot. You had Sally taking one from the outside, which is the shot you want him to have, and you have Grant Long taking the shot from the outside, which is another guy the Hawks would like shooting from about 18.
My favorite thing. Good point, Goose. 2 seconds. Looked like long travel. Miami does not get a shot off, and Atlanta maintains the 11-point lead that they had at the half. Mookie Blaylock welcomes the team. He got a long rest there toward the end of the third quarter. Atlanta by 11, hoping to stave off elimination. The final 12 minutes in the season, unless Atlanta can hold on to this 11-point lead over the Miami Heat. Atlanta has held the Heat to only 63 points. The Heat, however, turned up the defense here in the third and held Atlanta to 19.
Well, this is more like the Atlanta Hawks team that we have seen this entire season, when they finished 8th in defensive field goal percentage and the 4th best team in the NBA, giving up just 96 points per ball game.
Miami will continue the full court pressure. Miner and Bimbo Coles ahead to Farrell. Danny Manning sees the lane open, the runner. Danny Manning, that's one of his favorite shots. It looks awkward for anybody in the NBA with the exception of Danny Manning.
Right. Well, he does. The Hawks attacked the basket very well against the full court pressure that time.
Grant Long called for the offensive foul with the arms up high against Craig Elo.
Number 43, Grant Long, his second personal foul.
You see, if it goes to a 5th game since this 5-game series started in '84, it'll only be the 3rd time. Last year, Phoenix lost their first 2, then won 3, and in '91, Portland won it 3-2 over Seattle. Danny Manning almost lost it. Watley with the penetration.
Oh, Lang with a nice screen on.
And he's fouled.
And Coles comes back and says, hey, I don't like that. Give me the foul next time he gives me that much body. Watch Lang on this with this screen. Oh, gets all of Bimbo Coles. They give him the ball under the basket, and he'll get a couple free throws.
Interestingly, Miami pulled the score to within 59-57. In the last 6.5 minutes, the Heat have failed to score a single field goal.
Lang has had to work on improving his free throw percentage. You see a totally different style for him, and it has worked to a little bit better, although he can still stand to improve more from the free throw line, knocks down those two.
Atlanta's biggest lead, 78-63, a lead of 15 points with 11:15 remaining in the game.
Well, what an answer to that run by the Atlanta Hawks.
Enos Watley called for the personal. We'll keep a close watch, of course, on the team fouls here in the final quarter. Each team now has committed one team foul, and Atlanta leads at 78-63.
The real thing is, as I look over there on the Hawk bench, I see Stacey Augmon, I see Mookie Blaylock, and I see Kevin Willis getting a lot of rest. So they'll be ready to run the rest of the way when Lenny Wilkins decides to bring them back into the game.
As Atlanta has built a 15-point lead. That ball was stripped by Watley. Craig Elo running the show from the wing, looking for the two-man game, wants to get Farrell down on the baseline. He was held by Bimbo Coles, he thought. However, Paul Mahalik says, turnover, Atlanta.
Coles has had an excellent series. They're the guys I was talking about. You see Stacey Augmon, you see Mookie Blaylock. Kevin Willis is right next to Mookie, so they'll be ready. But Lenny will leave him over there as long as he can, with the team leading by the number that they are right now.
Foul away from the ball. It's on Dwayne Farrell, which will be his fourth. Miami surprised Atlanta at the Omni, their first win ever there. At 93-88, Atlanta won the ball game, 104-86. Miami won on Tuesday night, and tonight, if there is a Game 5, and it's looking that way at this point, it'll be at noon on Sunday at the Omni in Atlanta. 10:26 remaining in this one.
You know, another thing that I think has been a real key, this crowd was tremendously loud a couple nights ago, and the Hawks have taken them right out of it.
Cycli inside, he'll have a three-point opportunity.
And that will give them something to cheer about right there.
That's the 8th point for Ronnie Cycli tonight.
Cycli hasn't been as effective on offense or on the boards as he was in Game 3, but here he is working hard to get position where he wants it, and as we said earlier, when he can turn back to the middle, as he did that time, he's much more effective.
That's 4 personals now on Stacey Augmon. Cycli with 7 rebounds in this game. Remember, he had 20 in game number 3. Hawks by 12, 10 minutes to go. Watley splits the double team, hands it off inside, and we have the foul against Harold Miner.
Well, what the Hawks have done against this full-court pressure, once they have gotten the ball into the front court, they have not allowed the Heat to catch up and to set up their half-court defense. They've continued to pursue and to try to press the ball to the basket, getting it in the paint, and they've either committed a foul, they've gotten it, or forced the Heat to commit a foul, or they've gotten the basket.
Augmon looking for the penetration to Andrew Lang. Missed the jam, but he was fouled.
You know, Lang's hands still seem to have a hard time hanging on to the ball at times. He fumbled the time before, but here he catches it, thinks a little long about it, and gives the defense a chance to catch up. He will have 2 free throws after this timeout.
Just under 10 minutes to go in this game. Atlanta nursing a 12-point lead. Will be going to the free throw line. Let's look at the Dutch boy in the paint.
A little bit different along the front line for the Hawks here tonight than what we saw in Game 3. You see them with 32 points and leading the rebounds 22-17. Cycli had 20 rebounds in Game 3. And the offensive rebounds for the Heat, they're still getting to the offensive boards, but they're not converting nearly as good a percentage of those opportunities as in previous games.
Andrew Lang, 2 of 2 from the line tonight. There's that unorthodox free throw shooting style. Maybe he should pass that along to a youngster in Orlando by the name of Shaquille, who's trying to find a way to get it into the cords from the line. Andrew Lang from Arkansas. One of the two additions to Atlanta, Lang and Elo, that have made a tremendous difference to this team this year.
The Hawks now coming with some full-court pressure of their own. This token, they back off right now.
Atlanta 80, Miami 67, 9:48 to go. Mookie Blaylock, Kevin Willis remaining on the Atlanta bench.
Well, you're getting a good effort from this unit out there, so why change it up right now? If the Heat should make a run, you'll see them load back up.
With 2 on the shot clock, Atlanta defense was there. Augment penetrating the finger roll. What spin on the ball.
Those long arms and good touch.
That thing rolled from the bottom of the iron over the top, off the glass, back down in. That sounds like Michael Jordan and Larry Bird playing horse.
I think so.
Under the iron,
he called
over
that,
the top,
sure.
off the glass.
Here's Augment coming at you here. Coles does a good job of forcing him to change it up, but not good enough as he gets this awkward-looking shot to go down.
Danny Manning, his third, team foul number 4.
Have a problem with the scoreboard here at the center of the arena. The score is 82-66 Atlanta.
Lenny caught that on the scoreboard, and he wants to make sure the officials change that up right now.
Yeah, they're going over to talk about it. Craig Elo will stick his nose in it too. Now they'll wave him away. It's 82-66, as you see the scoreboard having a little bit of a problem getting organized, but we've got our scoreboard in shape, so you know what the right score is. With 9:16 to go in the game, if Atlanta holds on to this lead, the teams will play Game 5 at the Omni in Atlanta on Sunday.
And why shouldn't Elo be in there? He has done everything else for this Atlanta team, leading them in scoring coming into this series, and they have changed it. 17.3 points per game is Craig Elo. He's also getting 3 assists, 3 rebounds, and he's at 1.5 steals per ball game, so he should be over there making sure everything is right. You see him with that shiner. That happened in the collision with Steve Smith, where it looked as though he was not going to be able to come back in that ball game, but he came back and played well after that.
He told me right before the game that Craig Elo did. He said, I had no idea who I was or where I was after my head hit the floor.
Well, and I think you could tell that. It took him a long time to get up.
Cup coming next on TNT. Spurs, Jazz. Gary Bender, Dick Versace will have that for you. San Antonio facing elimination. Remember, Dennis Rodman returns after his 1-game suspension. 82-68, 9:16 remaining. Full court pressure.
Much shorter passes by the Hawks here against this pressure.
Danny Manning, bounce pass Andrew Lang, who's fouled again.
And then attack the basket. You get the ball on the other side of that initial trap and keep moving towards the hole. Keep your passes short and precise, and you get opportunities that Lang has gotten the last 3 times they have faced the full court pressure.
You see 4 on Grant Long. He's back after his 1-game suspension. Has not contributed a great deal statistically tonight, along with 3 rebounds, 6 points. Lang, nice touch. And he's been successful at the free throw line tonight. 5 out of 5. Kevin Willis on the Atlanta bench. Mookie Blaylock still over there. John Concat, who started this game.
You know, the other thing that Lenny's doing while they're over there, you know, you think of Game 5, which is going to come in Atlanta, and you know the Heat are going to be fired up if it continues as it's going. You're resting those guys, and they'll be fresher in Game 5.
That was Danny Manning with an excellent tip out off that missed free throw. Watley with the penetration and the pull-up jumper. It doesn't fall. Cycling with his 8th rebound of the game. Harold Miner with the jam. He has to have at least one of those leapers every ball game, but I don't know if he can beat the one he had in Game 3.
No.
Former slam dunk champion of the NBA. Couldn't compete this year. He had sore knees. Ronnie Nunn with the whistle.
Now the shot clock at 25 seconds. So once again, a problem with the shot clock. He spotted it.
Well, you know, this is a young franchise.
Yes.
And the playoff pressure extends all the way to the scorer's table.
Well, it has the last couple of times down, but you normally don't get 25 seconds in a regular game. I don't know how 25 seconds got up there on the shot clock.
Lenny Wilkens, in several publications so far, the NBA Coach of the Year. Kevin Lockery. His job has been definitely tenuous toward the end of the year.
And you know, it's interesting, and reading the papers and hearing the conversation around the city, a lot of people are saying that even if the Heat should win this series, Kevin Lockery won't be here next year.
That's the talk in Miami.
I find that hard to believe. A number 8 seed giving the number 1 seed this much trouble. You think back to this time last year when the when the Lakers took the Phoenix Suns to Game 5. Randy Funn entered the playoffs under the same situation, and he was rewarded with another contract after he took Phoenix to 5 games.
Officials now have finally decided to get this underway after they get the shot clock down to 12 seconds. It was at 25 and had never started. They decided that the 12 seconds have elapsed since the ball was crossed the timeline. 8:31 remaining in the fourth quarter. Atlanta with 10 to shoot.
Mookie Blaylock at the table. Lenny feels as though the tempo of this game starting to change just a little bit. That will let him relax just a little bit here.
Stacey Augmon, when he's hitting the perimeter shot, Miami has to know they're in some trouble.
It's tough. He's also been effective going to the hole.
Blaylock back into the ball game, or was about to get back into the ball game, and is now coming onto the floor for Enos Watley, who did a very nice job.
Well, he's had a good series. He has played a lot of minutes and has played them very well. There's Mookie.
Mookie with 22 points, Watley with only 2. But one thing Watley does, or has done in this series, and that is taken care of the basketball.
Yeah, he's not going to score the points, but he's been forcing the action more maybe than Lenny Wilkins wanted because of the lax play or the ineffective play of Mookie Blaylock.
Out of bounds off Miami. 8 minutes to go in the game. Atlanta by 15. And Goose, you made a point a couple of minutes ago as Ronnie Cycli fell asleep. And Augmon will go to the line. You made a point a couple of minutes ago, and the Heat right there reflecting it to some degree. This crowd, which was so raucous and so noisy for Game 3, has been very quiet tonight.
Well, give the Hawks a lot of credit for that because they have made the big plays here. And I think when they answered that run by the Heat in the third period, when it got down to a 2-point game, and they came back and took it back up to double figures by the end of the period, it just totally took the Heat out of this ball game and the crowd out of this ball game.
Starter Brian Shaw sitting on the bench, not in the game. There's Willie Burton, who has contributed very few minutes for the Miami Heat during this game, as Augmon with an uncharacteristic miss from the free throw line. Atlanta now by 16 points, and even more significant in terms of Atlanta protecting this lead, Miami already in the penalty.
Yeah, and Kevin Lockery's going to reload here. He's going to get his main guys in. That's a good job. Bimbo Coles getting to the hole, but Sally at the scorer's table. Rice at the scorer's table will check back in here at the next dead ball.
7:37 to go in the ball game.
Real good job by the Hawks handling that full-court pressure.
Elo off the screen, looking for Manning. He's being held down there on the baseline by Grant Long, who's carrying 4 fouls.
Now, Coles has been able to be effective also off the bench for the Miami Heat. And here he is taking the ball to the hole against the big people. Stays up in the air long enough to find an open shot, and he gets it to go down.
That's 5 personal fouls on Grant Long now.
It's interesting now as the Heat go back to that 3-man rotation along the front line. You think back to Game 3, Cycli with 44 minutes, Sally with 48 minutes. They were both very effective in that game. Now you have to work Grant Long into the mix, and that has cut down on the minutes for both of those guys.
Atlanta has been held under 90 points in both losses to the Heat. And with that free throw, Atlanta now with 88. Their next field goal will break the 90-point barrier for Atlanta at 7:24 to go in this game. In the win, Atlanta scored 104 in the game with the fight in Atlanta on Saturday.
Well, you've got to get Rice involved here. You've got to get him some shots maybe from the 3-point line. You also have to get Sally involved around the basket on offense.
Miami Heat looking a little flat here in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes to go, and Atlanta gets the call on that and the possession of the ball, leading by 16. An opportunity to build their biggest lead of this game.
Well, they played so much off the energy of the crowd. We've talked about how important that crowd was in Game 3.
Lang defended by Glenn Rice. Should back him into the post. There's that left-handed junk hook. He was too... Junk hook is right. Oh, my. Grant Long just slams Craig Elo to the floor, but they're saying Craig Elo was moving, and he's called for the block. 6:46 to go in this game. Atlanta by 16.
He'll
look at a dejected Miami Beach bench. As the Trailblaze works for me. 16 points with 6:46 to go in the game. And this game is almost certainly headed back to Atlanta, where the Heat have only one win, and that was on Thursday night at the opening of this playoffs, 1-12. And how about this? You know, a quick cure to playoff fever is a home loss. Yeah, I think these fans that were so crazy to begin this game, look at the empty seats.
Well, you know, that's been a problem for the Heat here all year. And one reason why they haven't won close games in this building down the stretch, the crowd has a tendency to give up very quickly on them in this building. And they have been more effective this year on the road than they have here at home.
Yeah, the Hawks at 50%. The Hawks shot 50% in their win in Atlanta on Saturday night also, as Grant Long goes to the free throw line. Miami got within 59-57. Since then, Miami 3 of 15 from the floor in the last 11 minutes. That's only 20%. In this quarter, Atlanta's 3 of 5, and even more importantly, 8 of 10 from the line and only 1 turnover. Credit that to the excellent ball handling of Enes Watt.
Yeah, Enes came in and he picked up the pressure, and it was all on his back because Mookie was out of the game to make sure that the Hawks got good possessions. They took advantage of them, and he handled the full-court pressure very well.
Elo, the shovel pass, the tip in from Kevin Willis.
They have totally taken advantage of this full-court pressure by the Heat, and they're going to force the Heat to think twice about leaving it on. You might see the Heat back off, but that basket right there might give them a little bit of life here to initiate a run that has to be coming.
12 points for Steve Smith tonight. He had scored 25 in game number 3. 13-point Atlanta lead, 6:14 to go. Not an impossible lead to overcome. But if Miami stays flat, it'll be very tough. And remember, they're in the penalty. Atlanta will be going to the free throw line. Blaylock, the quick pull-up jumper off balance. Long over Danny Manning. Well, that was us with a rebound.
That was an excellent defensive set. Something very little, but it made the difference. They wanted to work the ball around the Rice, but Stacey Augmon faced him. He would not let him catch the ball and forced the lower percentage shooter to take it.
Elo with a baseline drive, and Sally and Augmon get untangled.
Now, look at the top right of your screen right here. You know the Miami Heat on this possession want to get the ball to Rice on the weak side. Now watch Stacey Augmon step in front of Rice and not allow Long to make the pass to him. Now he has to shoot it, and it's in and out.
5:32 to go in this ball game. Atlanta 92-77. John Sally, who's been quiet tonight.
Now let's just see who the Hawks give the shot right now. The opportunities to score.
John Sally can't buy the bucket tonight. Soft finger roll, rolls off the wrong side of the rim for John.
Steve Smith hasn't had the shots in this game, and Rice hasn't had many opportunities to score.
10 to shoot for Atlanta. Danny Manning down on the block. The scoop with his left hand, the foul on John Sally. Eastern Conference playoff picture. Here's how it's shaping up. We're getting close to that second round, which will begin for the most part over the weekend. The Atlanta here about to tie it up 2-2, but how about the Knicks-Nets tomorrow night? The Nets got that close win over the New York Knicks, and I'll be going up to meet Hubie Brown for that telecast on TNT tomorrow night.
Well, both teams having trouble scoring points, as you can imagine, in that series. It's been very physical. The Nets handled the Knicks very well during the regular season, winning 4 or 5 games. They won that one, struggling to do that, but you still have to feel that the Knicks are favored in that series.
Danny Manning has been big tonight. Flawless from the free throw line, where he's only a 67% shooter on the year. He's 6 out of 6, 26 points, and that's his playoff high this year.
The real superstars have a tendency to step it up this time of the year. So what if he shot 67% during the regular season? This is the playoffs, and he has to be the man for this Atlanta team.
Grant Long just fouled out of the game with that personal foul and will go to the bench as Atlanta, a commanding lead now of 94-77. The people are leaving this building in droves. And Goose, when does, or if he hasn't already, does Kevin Lockery call off the dogs and say, we've lost this one, we better rest them for Sunday in Atlanta?
Well, I think it's going to happen very quickly. You'll see Long foul out with 8 points of this ball game. The real thing, though, Lenny Wilkins was able to get his main guys a lot of rest in this ball game. So I think with about 2 minutes to go, both teams will get their starters and main guys out of there and start resting for Game 5.
Blaylock, the lob to Manning, the one-handed launch doesn't get airborne.
In a game like this, you can do that shot. You can make that attempt, Danny Manning. If it's a closer ball game, he brings it down, gets 2 hands on it, and makes a higher percentage opportunity to score there.
Bimbo Coles remains in at the point. Brian Shaw has struggled throughout this playoff series, and Bimbo Coles has been the primary point guard. That's a 3 from Glenn Rice.
Well, that's the guy you want shooting. And you look at Lenny Wilkins, he is nailing Craig Elo right now, saying you are not to leave the guy. And you'll see, I'll be surprised if Rice gets another shot from behind the three-point line.
14-point lead for Atlanta with 4 minutes and change remaining in this game. Looking for Willis posted on the block. Screen and roll, Blaylock on the drive. The block from Steve Smith, but first the foul. Let's see if he's all right.
The other concern in a game like this is protecting against injuries, which sometimes happen this late in a blowout.
Pulling on his leg like that often indicates maybe a muscle cramp. Let's hope that's what it is. And people have questioned not the heart of Mookie Blaylock ever, but somewhat his physical endurance, as he's really worn down this season as the Hawks have gotten into the playoffs.
Well, you look at all the minutes he's played this year. He has been out on the floor an awful lot for Lenny Wilkins. Now, Lenny's getting good play from Enos Watley here in the playoff series and more minutes than Watley normally gets. But he normally goes with Blaylock for 43, 42 minutes of ball game.
John Sally called for the personal. Mookie Blaylock had not scored more than 9 points. As a matter of fact, he hadn't had more than 3 field goals in a game until tonight. Now, we were talking about the Eastern Conference. The West, the Suns are already in with that 140-point performance last night. The other series all at 2-1. Coming up next tonight, the Spurs facing elimination at Utah. Gary Bender, Dick Versace, the astute Dick Versace. We'll have that for you.
Dick having a good time in the playoffs. That's been an interesting series. Sally with the jam off of the penetration by Coles.
3:50 to go in this ball game. Atlanta by 14. It would require a major giving up by the Atlanta Hawks to lose this one, so it will go to game number 5 in Atlanta on Sunday. 5 to shoot for Atlanta. Manning just throws up a prayer. It's not been pretty.
No, it has not. The last 2 possessions for the Hawks.
Steve Smith left alone again, and he comes onto the floor. Yeah. He's so angry at his team. Well, it is only an 11-point lead.
Yeah, he's upset because you see the Hawks relaxing right now on defense. They gave up the 3-point shot to Rice. They gave up the 3-point shot to Smith. And Lenny is very, very hot here.
Both teams in the penalty, so there'll be free throws being shot coming back out here, and 3 minutes and 18 seconds remain. A couple of more threes, and this is going to bring some people back in from the parking lot here at the Miami Arena.
Yeah, but it's too late now because you look at all the empty seats. This arena's full right now. If it's full right now, it's going to be extremely loud, encouraging this Miami team on. But you look up there and all the empty seats, and you know, this is a time of the game where you want to draw something from the crowd. They're gone. They're in the parking lot. That's a big shot. And here's the shot coming from the other side. Coles gets to the basket. Sally gets the slam.
It was a 3-point shot that did the damage, however. And since Atlanta went flat, thinking they had the very large lead, you see Miami has outscored the Hawks 8-2 in the last minute 43. Now, it is an 11-point lead, and I'm sure Lenny Wilkins is explaining to his charges on the sideline. You know what's happened, what's been interesting also, Goose, is when the starters came back into the ball game, Kevin Willis and Mookie Blaylock, the Hawks kind of went a little bit flat. Maybe they were still tired.
Well, I don't know if it's being tired. I think it's more that they felt this game was out because they sat over there a long time. No reason for them to be tired after being reinserted into the ballgame. I think you've seen just a loss of concentration by this unit, and that's why Lenny called a timeout. I mean, yes, he's discussing strategy over there, but I'm sure the first 30, 45 seconds of this timeout, he's grabbing them around the throat, not around the throat because that might get another brawl started, but he's grabbing him by the collar and saying, guys, we need to pick it back up.
Indiana awaits the winner of this series. The Indiana Pacers surprised the Orlando Magic, sweeping them 3-0. The Indiana Pacers, a team with a very big front line and a superstar in Reggie Miller, who is really at the top of his game, will await either Miami or Atlanta in Game 2, and it will be a well-rested Indiana Pacers team coached by a man, Larry Brown, who has that terrific tournament playoff experience.
Yeah, well, I saw the Pacers up close and personal in the series with the Orlando Magic, and they are playing as well as anyone right now, and they are very effective across the front line. You look at Rick Smits at 7'4", but they get even stronger, I think, when they bring Antonio Davis off the bench and he accompanies Dale Davis out there. A lot of quickness, a lot of bulk, and ability to get to the offensive boards.
This is a big possession here for Atlanta, because a turnover and a single-digit lead with a full 3 minutes left would be something that would make Lenny Wilkens frown even more than you see right now. And we have full court pressure from Steve Smith, Bimbo Coles, and John Sally as Danny Manning will inbound it. Once again, the officials trying to get everything straightened out. Been a little bit of a disoriented game here tonight. Augman gets it across half court to Mookie Blaylock.
Now, the main thing you want to get right here is a good shot at the basket by the Atlanta Hawks. You think about the last 2 possessions when Danny Manning has just flipped up the shot, and he calls the timeout as he gets trapped.
Atlanta not able to handle the defense from the Miami Heat. 7 seconds remaining on the shot clock when we return to Miami Arena. Atlanta by 11 with 3 minutes and 1 second remaining on the clock. The Hawks have failed to score a field goal since Craig Elo scored with 5:40 to go in the ball game, and Atlanta had to call timeout as they were running into problem with this Miami defense. They have 7 seconds on the shot clock.
Well, you asked the question, when will the coaches start to pull back and say this thing is over after this run by the Heat? It may not happen until the final horn. The Hawks have to regain that concentration that enabled them to build that big lead, and almost a turnover there as Augman couldn't get the ball inbound.
They had tried to spot up Blaylock over here on the weak side, knocked out of bounds with 2 on the shot clock. These players on the floor have certainly not given it up yet, and they're going to, instead of saying it's out of bounds, call the foul. They say Smith hit him in the head, and Danny and Mookie Blaylock will go to the free throw line.
Mookie stepping up 4 of 4 from the free throw line.
That's the 4th on Steve Smith. Coming up next, we'll be going out to Salt Lake City at the Delta Center for Gary Bender and Dick Versace and the San Antonio Spurs looking for offense. They have really struggled against the Jazz and are down 2-1. Andrew Lang in for Atlanta, along with Elo, Augman, Blaylock, and Manning.
Well, that's for defense. They want Lang's shot blocking the building. What happens? They go right around him on the baseline.
2:44 to go. Atlanta by 11. Elo trapped in the corner. Blaylock and Bimbo Coles wrestling for the ball. Ronnie Nunn waiting. And there was a 20-second timeout called by Miami.
You know, that all started with the Hawks getting the ball into the corner against this full court pressure. It's geared to get the double team in certain areas. Now you see the throw out, and Coles just steps in there. Blaylock says, hey, I had the ball also, but Coles gets awarded the timeout.
That 20-second timeout call in the NBA has become very interesting. Players are calling it from all sorts of positions and places, sometimes airborne off the court.
Yeah, out of bounds, and I don't know, you might see that rule changed. I mean, that might be stretching it just a little bit.
Well, Atlanta continues with a double-digit lead of 98-87 here. 2:30 remaining. Kevin Lockery telling his team that this thing is not over. If they can make a big struggled win here, they don't have to go back to Atlanta, where this team is at 1-12. But they are down 11 with 2.5. Miami in possession of the ball. Blaylock will have nightmares about Bimbo Coles. Steve Smith for the three. Not this time. He had some pressure from Augman.
Well, they made a good run at Smith. He was not as open, and Manning turns the ball over.
Gave it right over to Sally, then stole it from Sally. And here comes Blaylock. Down to Augman. To Andrew Lang. He traveled.
And he traveled. So once again, Lang with the, he still has trouble hanging on to the ball. He catches it wide open, fumbles it just enough to allow him to shuffle his feet before he gets in the act of shooting, and he misses a huge opportunity there.
I don't know if I want Andrew or Kevin serving me on my very expensive china.
Yeah, you're right. And the other thing is, I don't want John Sally handling the ball against the double team. He kicked it away that time. The Heat got lucky.
Cycling hard to the hoop, but Lang, who plays him so well, got the block.
What a move by Lenny Wilkins to put him in the game for defense. Big block.
And now a minute 38 to go as Atlanta continues to lead by 11, and they're trying to run some clock. 10 to shoot. Blaylock running the lane. Finger roll, and Blaylock goes down hard. He'll go back to the line.
Both hands by Steve Smith with the push, and they're going to give him 2 shots and the basketball, I think, after this play.
Let's see if he's all right. Blaylock was nearly injured previously, and he's slow getting up here.
Yeah, they'll call the flagrant foul here, the flagrant one on Steve Smith. So the Hawks will get the 2 free throws, the ball out of bounds. Now watch right here, the 2 hands by Smith as Blaylock gets to the basket. Right here. And there's Steve Smith with the push. So he gets 2 free throws and the ball. You get another look at it, maybe a better look right here. And now a tee has been assessed to the Miami Heat. There it is.
May have called a tech on the bench. It's been called on Kevin Lockery. So Blaylock with the 2 free throws following the flagrant foul, the technical on Kevin Lockery, as I said. Hawks by 12.
Been a cleanly played game to that foul by Steve Smith. Blaylock knocks them both down, and I'm sure he'll step right up there and take the technical foul that was called on that guy.
While he's hot. And speaking of hot, 27 points in this game. Blaylock had averaged 9 per game in this series.
Talk about a guy stepping up and playing big. He's asking to be taken out of the game right now, and Lenny has to feel no problem here, no concern doing that because of the play he's gotten from this guy.
Blaylock scored the last 7 Atlanta points. Mookie walking gingerly here. I don't want to speculate, but it looked to me like he was having problems with leg cramps.
Well, and also on that play fell to his lower back, and you see him rubbing right there. Longtime trainer for the Atlanta Hawks, Joe O'Toole. You know how long he's been around? He was a trainer when I played for the Hawks.
No.
In last century.
Over 2,000 games for Joe O'Toole.
He took me into his office one day, and he showed me all the locker name tags that he has had over the years. Looking at all those players that have gone through the Hawks system.
Danny Manning spinning into the paint from 14 feet. Minute to go in the ball game. Atlanta 101-87. Glenn Rice couldn't keep it going. Andrew Lang with the rebound. How about this? Atlanta 17 of 19 from the free throw line in this 4th quarter. Remember, with 7 minutes to go, Miami was in the penalty, and it really has made a difference in stopping Miami from staging a comeback here.
Veteran teams, you have to do the things that you need to do, and that is making free throws and making the big plays. And the Hawks have done that in this game. Must-win situation.
Well, it'll go back to Atlanta for game number 5 in this first round series on Sunday at noon at the Omni. And once again, Atlanta in victory scores over 100 points against this team, and in the losses, they scored less than 90. This building will be empty the time this is over. They started leaving here in the middle of the 4th quarter.
You know, I think that was a big part of this loss for the Heat. When they made this last little run, knocked down a couple of 3-point shots, they needed the energy from the crowd because they gave up. They left early, and the Heat didn't have it. They weren't able to get it from the crowd.
It's going to end with a whimper. This place began with a roar. When we came in here tonight, it was sold out. They were scalping tickets in Miami for $500 and $600 before the game. The Atlanta Hawks came in here with an intensity that you would expect from a team on the verge of elimination and defeated Miami 103-89. And Miami now will have to go back to Atlanta with the series tied at 2. And remember, Miami has only one victory at the Omni in their history, and that came in game number 1 of this series.